Up next video, every level of wealth in 13 minutes.
Imagine the world is represented by these bubbles. If we resize them according to the population size, we get this picture. I'm going to rank them from poorest to richest and show you how people live around the world. We'll start with farmers living with less than $2 per day and climb all the way to Elon Musk. And I'm gonna make it.
Well, I think there's a level of wealth too. If you're going like people that live off the land, are they even in the level of wealth category? If you're detached from society, I don't think that you're in the loop, right? If you're not using money, you're not poor. Like, you could be somebody living off the land, living in a log cabin, yeah, maybe struggling slightly, but you're also just like not working a job, you're not getting paid money, you just live in the wilderness. Like, that'd be like saying like the people on North Sentinel Island are poor. Like, yeah, they don't have the same, fucking wealth that we have, but at the same time, they're not a part of modern society.
A bet. You probably can't answer these two simple questions about the world. Fewer than 2% of my viewers got them right. Question 1. Where does the majority of the world population live? A. Low income, B. Middle income, or C. High income countries?
High income countries, but the people in those countries have low income. Does that make sense? Because, like, am I basing it off of the country's GDP and that's a high income country, or the individual citizen?
And 2, since year 2000, has global wealth inequality A. increased, B. stayed the same, or
Increased.
C. decreased?
Increased.
Hold on to your answers, we'll come back to them.
Oh, get the f out of here. Tell me the answer to the question.
This video was inspired by the book Factfulness, and I also took inspiration from these videos. I'm gonna rank our countries starting at the bottom. According to the World Bank,
the poorest country is Burundi, and then Central Africa, African Republic.
The 10 countries with the lowest GDP per capita in the world are all African countries.
But that's also GDP, and that is, yeah, they're also not making a lot of money, but they also might not have exports. They might not, like, individual countries may not have a large population.
The more the bubbles are to the left, the lower the GDP per capita. And the country with the lowest GDP per capita is Burundi. Let's see how people live there.
$920? That's how much each person makes a day? Or a year? Not a day. Goddamn. That's how much each... $920 a day is crazy money. That's how much each person makes a year is $920. How do you live on that? Is that even... That's not... That you don't live on that. That's not a fucking... What is, like, the lowest income you could reasonably live on? I mean, that depends where you're living. Everything's cheap. Bro, even if everything's cheap, $920 fucking dollars in a year? Bro, a week's worth of groceries for a family of 4 is like $300.
People live there.
Probably more.
The median wage in Burundi is $1.80 per day. Each woman has an average of around 5 children.
Bro. See, now that's actually a problem in high-income countries. Fertility rates lower and lower. We're going to have, when we're old, chat, we will have so little young people below us that they won't be able to support us being old. And that'll be a big problem. Because you need a younger generation to run the world for when you're old. Us? Question mark? Yes, us, we. Yes, we, us. Because who's we? What do you mean, who's we? Or you're calling me Unk. Are you saying I'm old? I'm saying when we're old, because you're probably like 5 years younger than me. We're in the same generation. Let's get out of the fucking crazy facade we live in, okay? You're much younger than me now. When I'm 70 and you're 75, we're both going to be decrepit, retired old people. And then you and I will not have a younger population running jobs because nobody's having kids.
Each woman has an average of around 5 children. Child mortality is high, and 5% of children don't make
49.2 out of 1,000 live births
don't make it to 5 years old.
Wow.
Families are large, and most of them depend on agriculture to make a living. Most people live in rural areas, often in houses made with mud bricks. The Gapminder Foundation documented how families live around the world and made their footage freely available. This family with 1 woman and 4 children had a total income of 90 cents per day. They live in a house with no electricity. Light comes from fire.
But where are they getting their money from? Where are they? If you're getting $1.80 a day, what are you making? Your 90 cents a day. What are you making money from? Like, what are you getting the 90 cents?
Which they also use
selling, like maybe selling, trading things.
to cook. This family sleeps on a bed made of straw, and this is their toilet. To find water, they need to walk to natural sources and carry that water back home. Most families in Burundi live in extreme poverty, and that's also true for most people in these countries. But so far, our chart only includes about 3.6% of the world population. I'm going to keep adding more countries until we get to about a quarter of the population. We get mostly African countries like Ethiopia and Nigeria, and Asian countries like
Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh.
Pakistan and Bangladesh.
I always wonder though, okay, you know how Bangladesh is big in like the phone scammer market? Like that's how a lot of, I mean, I'm not stereotyping about Bangladeshi people. I'm saying most Americans' knowledge of people from Bangladesh is their experience with scammers. That is being real. Like you, in general, if you've ever interacted with that, like that's usually what you are. That's not, no. See, I know you guys are going to try and gaslight me. I'm not, that's obviously like 0.00001% of the population. But I'm saying, are those people making good money? Because those scammers scam Americans out of thousands of dollars. I feel like those guys have to be making a lot, right? Or no?
Bangladesh. I'm going to pick Bangladesh and see how people live there.
$4.25 a day. That's a big jump. That's still fucking terrible. That's fucking horrible. Like $4.75 a day, you could reasonably like try and make food for that amount, but you wouldn't be able to have a house, electricity, property, car. You wouldn't even be able to like own a bike.
The median income in Bangladesh is $4.78 per day. Each woman has an average of 2.3 children. This family has 5 people, and they live in a house with a metal roof. They have beds, they have access to a pipe well, which is how most people get their water in Bangladesh. They have a toilet and a place to wash their hands. They also have basic phones. Their house has electricity, like more than 99% of households in Bangladesh. This might not sound like a big deal, but in Portugal, a high-income country in the country where
in Portugal, only 64% of homes have electricity. Oh, that was in 1970.
I'm from, if we go back to 1970, only 64% of the population had access to electricity. Some people think that countries like Bangladesh will always stay poor.
Well, electricity's also become cheaper.
But the reality is that Bangladesh, in some aspects, is already more developed than the Portugal my parents grew up in. If we go back to our bubbles and add colors based on the income level according to the World Bank, we see that even though we're at the bottom 23% of the population, most countries in this chart are not considered low income. Bangladesh is considered medium income, or
Bangladesh is considered median income, making $4 a day. Lower middle income countries, are you fucking kidding me?
Lower middle income to be precise. Most of the world population lives in middle
income countries.
Countries.
Well, okay, but I was saying what I would describe as middle income. I would not call, and this is because I live in a first world country, and we have the privilege of saying this, I would not call $4 a day low middle income. You're impoverished. Like, if you had maybe in a different country as well, but I think it's also like the living standards you see here. If you were in the US making $4 a day, you'd be homeless. You'd be fucking homeless. You wouldn't have a home. You wouldn't be able to afford anything in any state. You would literally be homeless.
A question that only 27% of my audience got right. I also got it wrong.
Oh, I got that shit wrong. Wait, what did I say? I said high. I said high income countries because I was assuming that high income GDP countries also had a lot of people that supported that GDP.
In 2000,
I was thinking China, US, like places with like hundreds of millions, even in India. Like a lot of people most people are poor that are, kind of stepping up the system or like holding up the GDP.
29% of people lived in extreme poverty. Nowadays, that percentage has fallen to less than a third. In a single generation, billions transitioned out of poverty. And while that was happening, another quiet transformation took place. Millions of people transitioned out of their poor problem-solving skills with brilliant, responsible. Let's keep adding countries until we reach half of the world's population. We now see
Well, India is also like an eighth of the world.
India and other countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Let's see how people live in Indonesia. The median wage is around $6 per day, and women have...
But I don't understand how you could have a house like that on $6 a day. I'm not getting that. $6 a day, bro, how much is that a year? 18, is that 18,000 or 1,800?
Average around 2 children. Most families now live in urban areas, not rural. As countries develop, the population tends to migrate from the countryside into urban areas. This family of 4 lives in a house with a bathroom, a kitchen, bedrooms, and other amenities we didn't see in the previous income levels.
Yeah, fridge, washer, dryer.
Motorbikes are a common means of transportation, and most people have access to internet and use smartphones. We're entering the richer half of the world. We now get mostly upper middle income countries from Latin America, Eastern Europe.
I don't understand this. GDP per capita, PPP, current international money, economic output per person adjusted for cost of living. Adjusted for cost of living. So I still don't get that. Like the average person in China is making $24,000
Africa and Asia
for their country or profit.
Including China.
It's not profit.
Let's pick Brazil. The median wage.
It's profit. Nah, it's profit. It's profit because look. This is, dude, tier 6 is $62 a day, which is what most Americans are making at a minimum wage 9 to 5. If you work a minimum wage 9 to 5 and you're getting paid $10 an hour, you're getting $80 a day. So it's adjusted for, this is spending money. This is how much money they have post cost of living. Yes? No? It's GDP, but GDP is also just literally like the lump sum of like all the money everybody makes.
The median wage in Brazil is about $13 per day. And in Brazil, women have on average 1.6 children. For the first time, we get a fertility rate below the replacement level. Wealthier countries tend to have lower fertility rates. Although hunger is still a problem in Brazil, more people die from obesity than undernutrition. As countries
really
develop, the percentage of obese population also tends to increase. At this level of income, it's now common for people to have a car and a computer. Brazil is above the global average, but still far from the world's richest.
Brazil's also such a big country that the economic change, depending on where you are, is so broad. Like, you could be in a favela, and it's overcrowded, overpopulated, and poor.
If we add more bubbles, we start getting high-income countries. We're now
Where's the U.S., dude?
at 90% of the world's population, and I'm gonna pick Spain. The median income is $41 per day. In countries like Spain, most people live in good quality housing. They have access to decent healthcare, social security, and public facilities. At this tier, you also start getting the freedom to travel to almost everywhere. A Spanish citizen can travel to a total of 189 countries visa-free. For most of the world, that is not the case.
What does it mean visa-free? Like, they don't need a visa to ever go there? So if you're in a poor income country, you're not allowed to travel the world? I mean, you need a passport still. No fucking way. Like, even on vacation. Depends on your certain passport. I know in the United States, there's certain countries that you wouldn't even be allowed to go to because you have a U.S. passport. Was like, I presumed any country with a passport, you could just go anywhere. You need a visa, not even on vacation. Wow.
189 countries visa-free. For most of the world, that is not the case. If we look at the passport index of every country, we see that lower income countries have a lower number of destinations they can visit without a visa.
Singapore has the highest. What is the U.S.? What do you think the U.S. is? Henley Passport Index U.S. The U.S. has access to 182. Where are we not allowed to go? Afghanistan, Algeria, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Brazil. You need a visa from the U.S. to go to Brazil. Cameroon, Burkina, Chad, Central Africa, Congo, a lot of African countries. Ghana, India, it says you need an e-visa. Iran, Libya, Mali. Oh, God, there's so many. North Korea, no shit. That one's not really a shocker there.
The freedom to travel the world depends on the income level of your country. Despite having good living standards compared to the rest of the world, Many people in these countries haven't enjoyed the economic growth we got in countries like Bangladesh or Indonesia. I spoke with economist Branko Milanovic, one of the researchers behind the famous chart explaining this. It's called the elephant curve. On the x-axis, we have the income percentile of the global population. The chart shows us how much income has grown across the population in the 20 years up to 2008. The people around the 50th percentile of income, mostly people in Asia, saw big gains. But then for the Western middle class, the curve flatlines.
People who are around the 75th, 80th percentile of the world income distribution, which means they are richer than the Chinese, had very slow growth, and in many cases actually growth of close to 0% per year over 20 years.
And meanwhile, the global top 1% captured a large share of the growth, riding the wave of globalization. In recent years, the curve becomes smoother, but the pattern still holds. Many in the West feel stuck, while much of Asia has moved up. Let's move higher. In the final 10% of
God damn, Luxembourg and Singapore. No way the average person is adding over 125k to the GDP.
the world's population, we find the wealthiest countries such as the US.
62 a day?
The median wage in the US is about $62 per day. Living standards are not super different from the previous year, but people can afford more things here. Americans tend to have bigger houses, bigger cars, and they can buy more things in general. Most Americans are quite rich compared to the rest of the world.
It is 11 to 12.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, Americans are definitely more rich than a lot of the rest of the world, even if you are a lower income American. But I feel like the US is such a big country. Like for all the majority of people watching the stream that live in the US, you all live in drastically different situations. You're all in different states. You all live in different cities. Some of you live in the country. Some of you live by the shore. Some of you live where it's cold. Some of you live where it's hot, right? You might be in a 2-bedroom, a 5-bedroom, a 1-bedroom. You might live in an apartment, a duplex, a complex. Like it could change so much. And even like you could equal somebody's income. And that's what's way bigger of a difference on income too. If you make like 70k a year and you live in LA, you're fucking broke. If you live in LA and you make 70 grand a year, you're poor. Like you have no money. Your apartment, you're blowing all of the money you have on your apartment, your food, and fucking like everything's way more expensive. But if you make 70k a year in fucking Montana, you're rich, right? Not rich, but middle high class. You're well off just because of straight up cost of living. That's why minimum wage is way different in specific states as well. I mean, that's also a political thing, but
of Americans who are in the global top 1%. And I think many of them don't realize that.
But this doesn't mean every American is rich.
Well, because most Americans perceive their wealth, and this is even me, I'll say this in the beginning of the video, I didn't realize how poor some of these countries were. You perceive your wealth in accordance to the people around you. If everybody else around you is broke, and you're slightly more rich than them, you're well off. But now if you take that same person that's at the top of their class and throw them in an area where they're the poorest, they're immediately going to think they're poor, right? It's like, that's just how life is. You're always going to use it in assumptions. That's also why I would say, I've talked about this before, but some of the highest suicide rates are in the happiest nations. And obviously there's like different research that goes into it on why that may be. But I also think it's just a blatant mixture of like, if you're a sad person around a bunch of happy people, you're going to be a lot more fucking sad than if you're a sad person around sad people. Like, yeah, they might bum you out more, but you always think your own personal perspective relatively. Like, if you're upset, but everybody else is also upset and they're just dealing with it, then it's like, okay, well, this is the norm. But if it's like everybody else is doing great and you're doing bad, you're going to think you're in the fucking gutter, dude. You're going to think you're doing terrible.
So far, we've only been looking at country averages, but inside each of these bubbles, there are both rich people and poor people. We need to look at the inequality within countries. The bubbles now show how much income the top 10% earn in each country. In the US, the top 10% get 47% of the income. The country with the highest income inequality is South Africa, where the top 10% get 65% of the income. And we're talking about income, which tells you how much money someone earns. But we should also look at the wealth, the accumulated worth of everything you own. It includes your savings, but also your house, your car, and your investments, making it arguably a better
your net worth. Everything you own, asset and monetarily minus your debt.
Indicator of inequality. If we switch the chart from income to wealth inequality, the gap becomes even bigger. South Africa also has...
That's another thing that people don't understand. That's another thing that people don't understand about net worth is when somebody says like, hey, this person's net worth is $1 billion. They don't have $1 billion sitting in a bank. They have $1 billion in assets and stuff, right? Their business is worth that much. They have stocks that are sitting and waiting. Like they can't just liquidate it like that. A lot of them end up just getting bank loans. That's why billionaires don't pay taxes a lot of the time because they just live off debt. They just take out bank loans because the bank knows they're good for it. They constantly keep themselves in the red, so they never pay. They never have taxable income because they're always losing money, so they're always paying stuff back. I'm simplifying it by a lot, but basically, like, say they have $1 billion in stock. That's just like kind of an undetermined value. It's just up there. They're not paying anything on it. But the second they pull that out, if they want to buy something, they have to pay taxes on it. So instead, they'll go to a bank, get a loan for $50 million, buy what they want, and then sell the amount of stock they need to pay that person back and pay the minimum for the rest of their life till they die.
Come to wealth inequality, the gap becomes even bigger. South Africa also has the highest wealth inequality, with the top 10% holding almost 86% of the total wealth. On the other end, in the Netherlands, they own...
But who? Who in South Africa is rich? I don't know many people like billionaires from South Africa. Top 10% of South Africans have over 86% of the fucking wealth.
45%.
Elon Musk, but isn't he a US citizen now?
Wealth inequality.
Is he still factored into South Africa? Because if Elon Musk is in this bubble, if you remove him, South Africa probably just shoots down to like Norway.
Within countries has generally increased in the last decades.
That's good for the Netherlands, though. The top 10% of the Netherlands people only have 45% of the wealth. I mean, that's still high, but that just shows that the average person in the Netherlands is a lot closer to everybody else.
Each country has
Dutch, sorry.
It's a different trend, but in the US, the top 10% owns 71% of the wealth in 2021, more than 25 years earlier. This number also went up in all of the world's top 10 economies. This can have negative impacts, and several economists argue that the more unequal a society, the weaker its institutions.
Italy is a top 10 largest economy. What does Italy do? I know Germany is big in cars. China's big in basically all production. Like, what do they do? Cars, too. Cars, luxury clothes. A lot, because it's mainly like you're a big country by wealth if you have a lot of exports, if you're selling to other countries.
Institutions tend to become over time. The World Inequality Report argues that this was not inevitable, but a political choice. They argue that in the 80s, leaders like Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher pushed a series of policies that made private wealth go up and public wealth go down. So their argument here is that if governments own less, then in theory they're less capable of tackling inequality. But from now on, we're not going to talk about countries anymore. We're entering global wealth tiers. If your wealth is at least $1 million, then you're part of the global 1%. This could mean having $1 million in your bank account or just owning an expensive house. There are 82 million people in this group, and they own 38% of the world's wealth.
Wow, dude. If you have $1 million net worth or higher, you're the top 1% wealthiest people. Top 1%. That's me. That's me. XQC. XQC is beyond this. XQC is is in the next rank. Top 0.001%.
To make it to the top 0.01%, you need a wealth of at least $21 million.
That's XQC. XQC is more than that. All professional athletes that are in like high grade US sports, the biggest streamers, that's you? No. You can throw me back 10 seconds. Not this. Fuck no. You think I have $21 million? That's nuts. I make money. That's Kai Cenat money. That's XQC money. That's Trainwrecks TV money. I don't have $21 million. Are you fucking nuts?
There are about 800,000 people in this group.
There's only 800K in the whole world. I don't know. I mean, that is a crazy amount of money, but I would assume there would be more people that had $21 million.
And they own 11% of the world's wealth. It's estimated that private jets are used by about 0.003% of the population, which would be about 30% of this group. Dude,
even if I had $21 million, I'm not using a private jet. I would just fly first class. I saw 2 Chainz talk about that. I think it was 2 Chainz. And he was speaking facts. He was like, I don't care how much money I make. He was like, you know how much a fucking private jet costs? Yeah, he was like, it's a fucking waste of money. He was like, you fly, because you can fly first class. You're basically having the same experience. And it's like, dude, if private jet's like fucking, you're paying like $100K to fucking fly one place.
If your wealth is at least $1 billion, then you're considered a billionaire. There are roughly
Really?
3,000 billionaires in the world, and they own
See, that's more than I would assume.
3% of the world's wealth. Over the years, the wealth of global billionaires has gone up, and the same is true for the people in the previous tier. But one billionaire takes the number 1 position on Forbes.
Did you see Elon Musk was trying to get himself like some crazy ass pay package from Tesla? Because he wanted, it was like a 2-year pay package he wanted Tesla to give him. And it was like more than Tesla's ever made in like sales. Like the company's like failing. Tesla's a failing electric car company. No one buys Teslas anymore. No one. And a lot of it too is because respectfully, if whatever his political take is, he can have that. His audience is liberals and he hates liberals. Who buys electric cars? Liberals. Who does Elon Musk piss off? Liberals. That's a terrible take. Look into Tesla stock. The majority of Tesla stockholders are individuals rather than companies, meaning the entire market sways on people rather than businesses, which is also bad. And if you look at Tesla sales, they're down in every country almost ever. They don't sell. Chinese people don't buy Teslas anymore. They buy Chinese electric cars. They're overpriced, and he fucking runs the company terribly.
As of the making of this video, Elon Musk is the wealthiest person in the world with a net worth of almost $400 billion. Between 2020 and 2024, Elon Musk's wealth grew at an average rate of
$1,000 a second. Bro, in the time we've watched this video, he has made fucking like $100,000 more. Way more. Oh my God, that would be 100 seconds. He's made like $1 million.
$1,500 per second. If Elon Musk saw a $100 bill on the floor...
Yeah, it's a way... I love this this little... Not even a hypothetical. It's like a thought experiment. It's technically a waste of time for Elon Musk to pick up $100.
It would literally not be worth his time to pick it up.
Yeah.
So now that we've reached the top, let's revisit question 2. Has global inequality gone up since 2000? Most of my audience said yes, and that makes sense. We've seen the rise of billionaires in the top 0.01% and increasing inequality within countries. But the answer, to my own surprise, is
No.
C.
It's decreased, really. Oh, global wealth
Global
inequality.
inequality has actually gone down. But how's that possible?
To be very sort of blunt, reducing inequality between Malawi and the UK is much more important than reducing inequality within the UK.
Although inequality within countries went up in many regions, the inequality between countries has gone down. The global
Poorer countries are doing better, and rich countries have more income inequality within them.
top 10% now owns 74% of the wealth, which is less than before. And the bottom 50% own 2.1% of the wealth, which is...
Okay, that's barely gone up, bro. That's not... I thought you were gonna say it's gone up a lot, dude. They own fucking 0.4% more. That's not good. That's not bottom 50%. The bottom half of the people in the world only own 2.1% of the wealth. That's so bad. That's 4 billion people. That's 4 billion people only own 2% of the wealth.
but still higher than in 2000. Developing
Oh my
countries
God.
are catching up. If we go back to 1990, the bubble chart looked like this. Almost 40% of
Oh,
the world
wow.
lived in low-income countries. As the years passed, billions climbed out of poverty, and now most of the world lives in middle-income countries. This doesn't mean that people aren't struggling or that we shouldn't worry about rising inequality within countries, but personally, I also think it's important that we acknowledge the progress that has been made. Most people, myself included, fail these questions because we don't have an accurate picture of the world. That's the video for today. Thank you.
I loved that video. I don't give a fuck if that was educational. I had a blast watching that. Looking at just how low the odds of being born in rich countries are, I'm grateful for living in the Netherlands. Oh, yeah, dude. Even how shit the U.S. can get, and I know we have a lot of problems within our country and a lot of disagreements. It is better to be born in the U.S. than in many, many other countries. just off of how well you're going to be. You're at even with shit insurance and the things that go on, like you have access to clean water, food, electricity. Like you might be, poor, but like you're not that like it can get a lot fucking worse. Next. Bangladesh, the most toxic country in the world.
Bangladesh, the most polluted country in the world. It has the worst air quality globally. Breathing in these particles can reduce the life expectancy of its inhabitants by up to 7 years. Every day.
Really? Just living in Bangladesh your whole life, you'll die 7 years younger?
350 tons of garbage are dumped into its rivers, and drinking the water is like consuming poison due to its high levels of chemicals and arsenic. The noise in the cities is so extreme.
Oh, that's fucking scary. That's how you figure out you're in Bangladesh on GeoGuessr, though. These wires. Look at that. Like that. Doesn't that look just like a fucking fire hazard waiting to happen? Oh my God. There's just like clumped up wires just sitting on that telephone pole. And they're like dangling.
So extreme that many people suffer from permanent hearing loss. The meat consumed here absorbs all the metals in the air, becoming a source of diseases for humans. What you're looking at right now was once a river. Today, we're going to witness the damage that humans can cause to the planet in the most toxic and polluted country on Earth. We are in Bangladesh.
Is this YouTube dubbed? I know YouTube added a dubbed feature. That's wild if YouTube can auto-dub videos like this.
Bangladesh, specifically in Dhaka, the most densely populated city on the planet, with area.
How many people live in Dhaka? 10.2 million people live in Dhaka. There's 340,000 people per square mile. What is New York? Or per square kilometer. So even less than a square mile. New York has 11,000 people per square kilometer. So they have 3 times as many people in each kilometer.
That can have up to 150,000 inhabitants in 1 square kilometer.
What? The most densely populated kilometer is 150,000 people? Where are they fucking fitting them? Do you know how small a square kilometer is? Like, that's not big. Like, you would be able to visibly see road to road. That'd be like a block.
I must say, I visited many polluted places around the world, such as
They have large slums, but where are they fitting? Even if you have a big building.
India or Lahore, which is considered the most polluted city in Pakistan. But I have never seen anything like this. Here, the entire...
Does the city have any goals to, like, fix this? I always wonder what, like, the government that's running, not Bangladesh as a whole, but, like, whoever's running this city, they have to have some sort of plan. Because, like, otherwise, isn't it just only going to get worse? Like, at some point, it would literally become unlivable, right? If it's this bad, they do nothing. In 10 years' time, no one will be able to live here. I'm just wondering how this happens. What do you mean? Like, nothing must be regulated. I don't even think that nothing's regulated. I think this place just probably got so overpopulated so quickly that there is no capacity for regulation. Imagine trying to regulate New York City's streets and trash if New York City had 3 times as many people as it has right now. That's what it would be. New York has, 12 million people, however many people it has. But by space, they're way more spread out.
Country is contaminated. The most shocking part is that what is visible to the naked eye.
I wonder what it smells like. Like, I wish we lived in a time where you could smell the video you're watching. I hope that's a thing one day.
Is not the most dangerous. The garbage is actually the least of the problems. The real crisis is the toxic chemicals in the water and the particles in the air. What's in the air? Breathing in the city, you can feel something dense entering.
I mean, you could see like the small, like you can't see high in the sky. You remember anybody live in the Northeast when the wild, or not even the Northeast, you remember, was it last summer or 2 summers ago when all those Canadian wildfires started and everything was like a weird smog? Y'all remember that? It was like fucking a shitload of Canada was on fire. And it went into the U.S. And you would walk outside, and if you lived in the Northeast or wherever you could have been affected, you would literally just see like maybe 400 feet in front of you. It just looked like the clouds were like on the ground, but it was orange.
Through your nose.
This doesn't look orange, but it just looks like like you see how everything's hazy?
And it's the mixture of smoke, coal that's in the air from
my
heavy metals,
God.
dust, and all the pollution. Here are the highest levels of air pollution in the world. They are 15 times worse than those recommended by the World Health Organization. It is estimated that breathing for one day in this city is equivalent to smoking about 25 cigarettes.
No! No! I thought he was going to say like 2. Breathing in the air, dude, that's over a pack, right? Breathing in the air for just living here. Dude, and there's probably people that smoke cigarettes here. Holy fuck, that is just lung cancer speed run. You live in Bangladesh and you still and you smoke cigarettes, 25 cigarettes just living here. Oh my god, and there's like kids.
Places like these,
that are just inhaling.
There are no precise studies, but it could be equivalent to 40 or 50 cigarettes. Seriously, your nose starts to hurt from how dense the air is. I want to see if
I would bet it's like a burning feeling.
you yourselves can appreciate in the distance something that looks like mist, which can no longer be clearly seen at the very end. That is the smoke mixed with dust and everything that I'm talking about. That's what we are breathing right now. The particles in the air are 30 times finer than a human hair and are loaded with heavy metals such as arsenic, lead, mercury, cadmium, and more. The old, poorly maintained engines running in the city also contribute to the pollution, emitting hydrocarbons.
Oh yeah, they have like no regulation. You know when you see like a car riding down the street and it's just rolling coal and you're like, ugh, and it smells like shit, like every car having like basically being like that. Like, this is just blowing out fumes.
Black carbon, sulfur dioxide, and other pollutants. These particles penetrate the lungs and enter the bloodstream, causing respiratory, cardiovascular, and even cancer diseases. Studies indicate that the inhabitants of Dhaka live on average 7 years less due to pollution. Brick factories
Bro was just carrying 4 dead chickens.
are one of the main causes of air pollution.
Bro, I see TikTok lives of this fucking place. Oh my god. Wait, maybe not this exact place, but something that looks eerily similar. Do you know what I'm talking about? I see TikTok lives of this one guy and he makes bricks and he stacks them. And he just like thanks all the donos. No? Wait, bro. I'm telling you, I'm going to recognize the logo of the brick.
In Dhaka, it is estimated that 7,000 brick factories across all of Bangladesh produce 23 billion bricks. And to prevent the
Yeah, dude, this is it. This is it. I've seen some guy fucking kneeling down here just molding bricks.
authorities from interfering,
7 billion bricks. Where are these even getting fucking shipped to? Like, I've never seen these bricks anywhere.
it is said that they bribe them to avoid any type
Wait.
from interfering. 23 billion bricks. And to prevent the authorities from interfering, it is said that they bribe them to avoid any type of regulation. As a result, these massive kilns burn wood, coal, and other fuels to produce bricks. And as you can see, everything goes directly into the air without any type of filter. They are responsible for roughly 60% of the air pollution in Dhaka. This also affects the food people consume. Meat sold in open-air markets absorbs all the particles in the air. Vendors...
It's not even meat sold in the... Dude, you got to think, like... And this is a problem all around the world, not just in Bangladesh specifically. Where they're catching these fish is in waters that are polluted, and those fish are eating, consuming, and, digesting pollutants that go into their meat, and then you consume. Like, when you eat fish, you're eating... Or just like... And most meats in general, you're eating a percentage of microplastics. Because if the fish, especially like wild animals that are like in like polluted areas, like you're just eating what they eat. Like that's why people care a lot about like grass-fed, grass-finished and shit like that. Because I'm pretty sure even in the U.S. legally, you're allowed to feed pigs a percentage of plastic, right? There's like a legality there. What percentage of plastic can you feed pigs in the U.S.? 80% of meat and dairy products from farm animals in the U.S. tested positive for microplastics. Like, you eat plastic, and you just don't know it.
Wash the meat with water contaminated with arsenic and other chemicals. Additionally, the lack of refrigeration encourages the growth of bacteria like salmonella, while flies deposit bacteria and parasites. The high temperatures make the meat spoil quickly, generating toxins. This leads to food poisoning and severe gastrointestinal infections in people. I have never seen anything like this in my life.
I mean, this just looks incredibly unsanitary in itself.
The butcher shop is an entire meat market right next to the train tracks and in the middle of traffic, practically in the heart of the city. Unbelievable. Here is the butcher shop, here is the market, and right in front of it are the metal bars that separate it from the train tracks. People on top of the train, and here is something I hadn't seen. There are people who don't move when the train passes, who are working in the middle of the track. This can't be. Look, I can almost touch it. Once the train passes, everything goes back to normal, and those who can't get—
I never want to walk on like heavily. Okay, I don't understand this shit, but you ever see the videos on Twitter where motherfuckers touch the live wire or like the live track on a train track and die because there's just electricity being like shot through it? I don't think they have that on this one. It might be that one right there in the middle. I would just be like, I don't know which track is live. I don't want to touch the train tracks.
Get a space.
It's the third rail, but which one? It looks like the middle one right there would be the live one.
Off the tracks. They are installed on the tracks. There are people on the train tracks doing business, and they don't even move when the train—
How the fuck is there electricity? Because it's metal, they're just pumping electricity through it to help power the train, right? I don't know. It's technology. I don't know if that's what it is. I know it's used for the train, but you're not supposed to be on it. And so you could see videos of people like chilling on the train tracks. They lean back and touch it, and they just go, and then die. Because imagine just getting like a fucking 1 million volts jabbed through your body.
Train passes. One of the biggest problems that has occurred, it's the contamination of drinking—
It's not how it works. I don't know. I'm just saying what the videos I've seen.
Water, not the river, the drinking water, the piped water. It turns out that in the 1970s and 80s, they drilled hundreds of thousands of wells to avoid surface contamination. So, they dug wells and realized much later that approximately 20% of all the wells were contaminated with arsenic, a mineral that affects the nervous system, causes skin cancer, lung diseases, and so on. What was initially done with the intention of improving people's quality of life ended up killing thousands. And it is said that even now some few people have no option but to continue using these wells. This is considered the greatest mass poisoning of all time. The problem with the water is so severe that I'm finding that not even the local people drink water from the tap, unlike in other countries where, when the water is contaminated, the body gets used to it and they can keep drinking. I'm told that very few people do, practically only the poorest. They are the ones who have to adapt.
Wow. That means it's that bad that it's just genuinely poison. Because you could go to, like, certain places in India or other countries in South America where, like, the water to them is fine, but your body's just not used to, like, the microbiome that's in the water that just fucks up your stomach. But they can't even fucking drink it.
Adapt to taking that poison.
In Mexico, last time I went to Mexico, I had the shits. It was so bad. I don't think it was from the water. I don't know what it was from. I don't think I drank the tap water. But I was in Mexico. I was just shitting. I was shitting nonstop, dude. Like probably like 30 times a day. And I had to take these pills that like made me constipated.
Which the government
don't know what it was.
Takes
I didn't poop for like a day though.
From the water tap. They filter it, remove the arsenic, the chemicals, and sell it like this. This costs 30 takas, which is about 25 cents of a dollar, around 110 colognes. 18 liters that can even be found on the street. This is how people access better water. If one day you ever feel completely, really tangled up, stuck, not knowing how to get into the work, remember this man fixing it. The city's telephone lines. One of the main causes of the extreme pollution in this country.
That guy has to go fix those fucking wires every day. How does he know which one he has to touch? There's like a fucking 100 of them.
One of the main causes of the extreme pollution in this country is that it has one of the worst sewer systems in the world. Between 80 and 90.
What is this?
As one of the
what is that? It looks like an intestine, doesn't it?
Worst sewer systems in the world. Between 80 and 90% of all waste falls directly into the river without any treatment. And it is estimated that every day in the rivers of Dhaka, 350 tons of toxic waste. Here we are seeing all the sewage of the city fall, all the fecal waste, the feces, urine, and medical waste produced by 20 million.
All right, them dumping poop into the water doesn't bother me. It's just like trash, you know? If they were like, dude, they're just dumping their poop in the water, I'd be like, you know, fish will eat it. It's fine. It's not as big of a problem.
Inhabitants fall directly into the river without any treatment, and yet this is not the worst. Bangladesh is the second largest textile industry in the whole planet. Dhaka is a giant textile factory, and all the chemicals, surfactants, detergents, dyes, and metals they use like lead or chromium all go into the river without treatment.
No.
We are in what is supposed to be the cleanest area.
Where does this river lead? The ocean at some point?
Of all Dhaka.
It has to go through another country, though.
The modern part, where the rich people live, which is said to be a bit more satiated, and where the government cleans more, because there are embassies and companies. And even so, see how we can find a park. And the most striking thing is that if we approach this pond, which is the largest in all of Southeast Asia, in the past, it was used for a king that lived here to bathe his elephants. We see how pipes coming from factories in the city fall here, releasing tubes that land here, and see the reactions that chemicals cause as they mix in the water. Bubbles are coming out of the pond. Maybe you, like me, wonder if there is garbage collection in this city, if the government does anything to clean the city. And yes, it exists. We just saw...
The issue with this stuff is, I mean, I don't think the U.S. had this level of pollution at any point, but, like, the argument that a lot of other countries will make, and I think it's somewhat valid, is it's unfair. I don't want to say unfair, but when all of the first world countries today were growing, they were burning coal. They were causing heavy pollutants. They were rising themselves up at the cost of the earth. And so when other countries are trying to do that now, we want to put regulation on them, but we never had regulation ourselves. So it's like unfair for them to try and have to grow with all these restricting factors when if we had those, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. But I don't know. This is extreme. Like they're just pumping chemicals into the ocean.
Those responsible for collecting this, for cleaning the city. But it turns out that the culture, the habit of throwing trash on the street is so ingrained in people here that it is impossible to clean it all up. This is just from today. This is only from what has
That's one day of trash.
happened today. And here, you can find, I saw a cow's leg. I saw meat that was just thrown out. So that spreads viruses and germs. And also, there are people living in these holes we see.
How bad do you think COVID was in Bangladesh?
Behind here. Just now, I saw
I feel like any sort of big disease would kill so many people here.
people coming out who live next to one of the thousands or millions of landfills in the city. The smell emanating from them is unbearable. It makes you want to vomit just walking by here. We can see in very small businesses, like these little kiosks behind, that there is always trash in front from what people buy. Anyone who buys a bag of bread or some snack eats it and immediately throws it on the ground. It's part of the culture.
Are you fucking kidding? No, that would actually piss me off if somebody did that in the U.S. If I was just walking on the side of the road and somebody was like, yeah, it just throws it to the side. If it was like an apple core or something, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's like food. It's like food waste. It'll decompose. There's something will eat it. Like if you throw like a banana peel in the woods. But that, bro, he just threw a fucking... Why are we throwing bottles on the street?
Sure. All the trash that comes from these small...
Free will. Dude, I can't get over... I think about this. I'm serious once a month. I was at the mall about a year ago. And I'm walking, and I'm passing this dude. And he goes... But I just spit in a trash can. He just loogies right on the ground. Just up. And then he goes like this. And just snot rockets onto the floor in a mall, just on the ground, inside, and just keeps walking. I'm like, that shit's dirty, dude. Like, somebody's going to step in that. Like, and there's trash cans every fucking 20 feet at malls. Like, just spit into a trash can.
All shopping centers.
That's normal. You spit on the ground inside in places? That's just rude. I spit outside. If I'm on the sidewalk in, like, Philly or, like, anywhere, yeah. spit on the ground because you're outside. But if it's like you're in it, like imagine you're in a Dick's Sporting Goods, you just go and just spit on the ground, bro, they kick you out.
Is simply thrown here in the ditch. People take it out of their place, so it doesn't bother them there, and just throw it in the ditch. It's normal to find the ditches completely covered in the city of so much garbage, but it's okay. Life goes on as normal. Even here alongside, there are sales of fruits, food, and all kinds of products. It's okay. I can't believe that the most sensitive area, the one they should take the most care of, is the worst I've seen of. In fact, it is the largest garbage dump we have found in the city. The riverbank. It doesn't make sense what we
And like, what is this guy doing here? I mean, you see he's smoking a cigarette, but is he just like posted up under the bridge?
are seeing here. This is what a canal in the middle of the city looks
Oh my God, the dog.
like. In fact, they don't stop dumping more garbage. It's already just like a public dump. Everything you see here is trash, covering what was once a river. And we notice it because right at the very end, there is still a little water running towards the Buriganga River. The most important in Bangladesh. The rivers are just like dumps. People come up and throw away whatever trash they have to dispose of. In these kinds of videos,
Dude, it's like high level hoarding. You know what I mean? Where we watch these TLC videos and these other random videos of people where it's like, oh, it's so bad it doesn't matter anymore. Because if you were to like say you had to clean your room and you just kept putting it off and you kept putting it off, and 4 years down the line, like your floor is covered in trash, at that point, you know, you're done with a burger wrapper, just chuck it because it doesn't matter anymore.
I don't like to exaggerate. I like to tell you the reality of what I'm seeing. There are areas here in Bangladesh.
White people when people are suffering, white people when animals are suffering, no. I mean, I'm upset for the people in general. I was just also like, God damn, there's a dog rummaging through a trash river. I'm also upset for the people as well, but you could also notice that the people are actively throwing out the trash onto the floor. I'm not saying it's on them. I think the government needs to do something.
Where not even a mask can filter the amount of smoke and things in the air. And there are areas like this one where my eyes are watering. I can't even see well because of the number of particles in the air. This is one of the most affected by pollution in Bangladesh. What we are seeing is not a channel nor a pipe. This completely black water you see here is the Buriganga River, the most important river in the whole country.
Oh yeah, there's got to be fish here, but I wonder how they survive with that level of pollutants.
Already biologically dead. It is one of the most polluted in the entire planet.
Oh, everything's dead in here?
We're going to take a boat to navigate it. Even the traffic on the water is crazy. Look.
I wish he had like a glass. You know what I mean? I wish he had like a glass that he could scoop up and show the water.
Look at this ferry leaving alongside us without any kind of control. This other one, and we are going to move it forward. I don't know if we are going to stop or not. This is one of the most important ports in the south of Asia. So there are hundreds of ferries that when they stop, they throw all their garbage into the river. They don't even care.
Bro! See, like, I feel bad, but it's like, why, like, no one cares. I think it's because everyone knows that no one cares, so you being recycling only works if everyone does it, you know? Like, if I recycled all my stuff, but everyone else didn't, it wouldn't matter that I recycle. Same instance here, where it's like, if this guy throws this into a trash bag, what's that fucking doing? Unless everyone starts agreeing to be like, hey, let's not throw our shit in the fucking street in the river, then it doesn't matter. Like, you might as well, because what is he going to do with the trash? Throw it to somewhere and then they're just going to throw it in the fucking river.
For putting it somewhere else.
Be a leader, not a follower? I mean, yeah, but you would have to get, like, a lot of people to agree. Everybody would have to have, like, a small group start being good about it, and then they would have to influence other people and other people and other people over time.
And also, I don't know if you can see what they were telling you because of the sun's reflections, but the water is completely black. It's because the river is biologically dead. That means there is no life here.
Oh, there's no bacteria.
No fish. Many years ago, fishermen lived off the fish they caught here. But now, look at this. It's all pollution. Maybe there are some microorganisms around, but nothing that could feed those who lived off the river. All the fecal waste that reaches the pipes, the sewers, or the city's large canals ends up here. Everything ends up falling here. Chemicals from all untreated factories.
I wonder what this will look like 10 years from now. Like, do you think they're going to have to end up fixing it? I mean, India has similar problems in certain places. A lot of countries have a lot of these problems. But it's like, at what point is it going to be like, okay, if we don't fix this, like, everybody's going to have to move? Because at some point there would be so much trash that it's like, unless they either Band-Aid, like they could Band-Aid it as much as possible, but unless at some point they find a permanent fix, it'll literally be like, we can't live here anymore. We're all just going to die by the time we're 30.
This is what they have left.
By now it's too far gone. It might be too far gone to fix entirely, but dude, if they just keep piling trash, this place will be unlivable.
We are discovering that there are
like, it's on the brink of that now.
People living on the boats. It is a means of work and the only space in the city they have to live. So they live their lives here, bathe in this water, which is the only one they have access to, and relieve themselves. All here in the river. In the city, apart from all the pollution we have seen, there is a type of pollution. What is invisible pollution? You might already be hearing it. It's pollution. Acoustics. Noise levels so high that they cause progressive and irreversible damage to the ears. And
the city's that loud that it fucks up your eardrums.
Also keep people at high stress levels. And that can also make them...
Oh yeah, the anxiety you would have, just like constant honking.
React aggressively.
Chalk the AI dub. I think the AI dub's getting a little worse here. It's been pretty good for this video, though.
In everyday situations. For this reason, street ear cleaners exist. And they have a lot of work, partly because people think they have earwax, but actually they are hard of hearing. Something very curious and striking is that at first glance, it seems that it no longer affects them. It's like they've already adapted to the pollution. Very few people, like him, can be seen wearing masks, showing they care a bit. A little because of what happens. However, it is estimated that about 270,000 people die each year in Bangladesh due to pollution.
Well, would you wearing a mask in this even fucking do anything? Because all of the air around you is dirty. Like, you're protecting yourself from, like, inhaling bacteria necessarily, but, like, the air you're inhaling, it's not like an N95 where, like, there's filters that are filtering the air that you're breathing in. Like, you just have a mask on, the air that you're breathing in is just coming out of the top slots.
And almost 50% are children, who are the most affected.
Oh.
Well, my friends, finally with this sunset. Truly spectacular on the Buriganga River. Despite the conditions it's in, it's still beautiful to see the sun set from a little boat.
I can't even fucking see the sun.
Calmly sailing on the river. Tell me what you thought of this video. For me, very shocking. Never in my life had I seen the incredible...
I knew that a lot of countries had pollution problems, but I didn't know it was this bad in Bangladesh. It took me weeks to recover from a nasty cough and cold. Dhaka's no joke. Sending this to my friend from Bangladesh. He lives here in the Czech Republic. He always says how great his country is. I think you could still be proud of your country and the people within it. I think this is just an issue that they need to resolve. It's also really hard seeing the population density. Like, fixing this issue in a place where there's not 30,000 people per square kilometer is the hunt for El Chapo.
This is the most heavily guarded prison in Mexico.
God, I love Fern videos!
Tall mesh fences, huge watchtowers. The area is a no-fly zone. This prison is considered to be unescapable. Yet, today, someone will escape. This someone happens to be the world's most powerful drug lord, El Chapo. He won't use any violence, nor will he climb over the fence. All he will do is walk into his shower and disappear.
Yeah, we've heard about this before, where he dug that big-ass tunnel from, like, one property all the way through the prison, and he had, like, a motorbike on a train track. He had absurd money to get out of jail. Isn't he now held in, like, a supermax prison? in like the middle of nowhere in like Idaho. He's never getting out now. El Chapo was found guilty and he's in life in prison in ADX Florence in Colorado. Is this where he is? Dude, he's in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. He's just in like the Colorado mountains. There's actually a baseball field right there. Why is there a baseball field right there? He's dead? El Chapo's not dead. Yeah, El Chapo's 68. I'm pretty sure he lives. We didn't watch a video about the hunt for El Chapo. We watched a video about what El Chapo's life is like. And he is in a guarded prison all day alone. And he gets like an hour outside of his cell in a gated area where he could see the sky like either once a day or once a week. He doesn't interact with anyone. Like, he doesn't talk to people.
This is the story of how El Chapo became one of the most successful drug dealers in the history of mankind, how he was hunted by authorities for decades, and how he escaped them over and over again. And it's the story of how an interview with a Hollywood actor and a failing car engine finally brought him down.
He did an interview with Sean Penn. Why? The man from the mountain, El Señor de la Montaña.
Joaquin Archivado Guzman Loera was born on April 4th, 1957, in a poor family in a poor neighborhood, the village La Tuna in Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains. Boys here don't grow up wishing to be astronauts, firefighters, or doctors. They want to become drug traffickers. It's a way to make money, and money is a way out.
Do you think that's really the dream job, though, in that area? I wonder how, like, cartel-affiliated areas function from a childhood basis. In certain areas, yeah, for sure. But it's weird to be, like, when you're 5. I don't think... You think, like, 5-year-olds growing up there are like, I want to be a cartel member when I'm older. Like, witnessing people die and shit. I think it's once you're, like, a teenager is where they start... I think all kids, like 5 or 6, are probably like, I want to be an astronaut. Because you're innocent and full of hope. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, the sky's the limit. And then you get hit like a fucking truck, you know? And so I'm assuming when they're like teenagers, they're probably, you know, starting to recognize reality and the poor situation they're in. And then they start turning to like getting introduced to the cartel. Because there's some young guys that are in the cartel where they, you know, they start selling drugs at a young age. They have to kill somebody when they're like 14, and then they're in.
People will call Guzman El Chapo because of his height. He doesn't grow taller than 1.67 meters. El Chapo drops out of school early. He doesn't even finish elementary school. Instead, he spends his time working on the marijuana and poppy fields, a family tradition. From a young age, El Chapo is extremely ambitious. He makes friends with big names in the local drug scene, determined to rise through the ranks of Mexican organized crime. First, he becomes a so-called problem solver. Whenever
it is crazy that cartels, gangs, and mafias effectively functioned and function as a business. They're just an illegal business. Like they kill people, they, you know, run drugs, they do all that, but they have to have accountants, they have payroll, they have rankings of people, higher ups and grunts and people that have to do easy work versus hard, complicated things that involve planning. It's so weird that that's the business that it is. Because you usually just perceive it as like a lawless, anarchist area, but there is a functioning system.
El Chapo eliminates the person responsible. His uncompromising attitude makes him trustworthy, and he grows close to the kingpin of the Guadalajara cartel. When the boss is arrested, El Chapo keeps the business running, ultimately setting up his own organization with other traffickers, the Sinaloa cartel. He organizes planes, trucks, and rail cars to deliver cocaine and heroin into the United States, and he even builds border-crossing tunnels, a skill that will come in handy many years later. In those early years, one incident really puts El Chapo on the map. This is Juan Jesus Posadas. He's the Archbishop of Guadalajara. And
I always wonder how big you have to get for the U.S. to start looking for you, where you're out of country. Because when he gets caught, he's getting caught by U.S. officials. It's not the Mexican government.
One of the highest ranks in the church. Posadas is a popular man.
Oh, did he kill?
He advocates
kill
for
like a priest.
the poor and publicly condemns drug trade. Right now, he is on his way to the airport to meet an ambassador of the Vatican. At the same time, El Chapo and his bodyguards pull into the parking lot. They are here to catch a flight to the beach resort town of Puerto Vallarta, one of El Chapo's favorite places to party. We don't know exactly what happened in this parking lot next. One thing we know for sure, though, the Cardinal will not survive. This is the official version. These brothers run a drug trafficking operation out of Tijuana. They are at war with El Chapo and his cartel. They fight over drug running territory, and somehow they get wind that El Chapo is going to be at the airport that day. So one of the brothers and a group of gunmen rush there to ambush him. When they spot him and his bodyguards, they step out of their cars and open fire. El Chapo and his men run toward the terminal building, taking cover behind cars in the lot.
And in the crossfire, the fucking priest gets hit, so they didn't kill him.
It's raining bullets, but somehow they manage to escape without getting hit. The failed assassination leaves 7 people dead, among them the Cardinal. This is the version of events that authorities will publicly report. Posadas was caught in the crossfire. Wrong time, wrong place. But there are doubts about this story. His death doesn't appear like a coincidence. Forensic experts will later say it's likely that the gunman killed the Cardinal deliberately. He was shot 14 times from close range.
Well, because he still was negative publicity for them. Not like, being in the cartel is, an upholding career to have in terms of the public eye. But when you have people advocating against you and trying to build some sort of uprising defense against you, there's a reason to kill them.
Later, the officials suggest that the gunman had mistaken the cars. El Chapo regularly drives a white Mercury Grand Marquis, the same model Posadas sat in that day.
Oh, so they started shooting at the wrong car?
The gunman thought it's El Chapo's car and opened fire. But the Cardinal wore his robe when he was shot. He was not dressed at all like a drug lord. If the gunman killed him at a close range, how could they have confused him with El Chapo? Years later, the successor of Posadas will make a serious...
It feels weird knowing El Chapo's alive. Dude, there's a lot of known serial killers that are either alive or died recently.
Years later, the successor of Posadas will make a serious accusation. He claims the murder of the Cardinal was a crime of the state.
Se trató de un crimen de Estado, perpetrado por la Policía Judicial Federal, es decir, por la Policía de la PGR.
I mean, yeah, because if you're in a poorer country and the cartel makes that amount of money, you could basically, just like when we were playing the fucking Mafia game or historically in the Mafia, you're able to buy anybody. Like, at some point, there's a price tag where you're able to buy somebody, and if you don't buy them, you either scare them into submission or you just kill them. Like, that's what the cartel will do. And it works because it's like, hey, they're either going to pay you and you're going to work for them. They're going to scare you, you're going to work for them. Or they're just going to fucking kill you. And so, like, in all 3 ways, they are above. They're basically puppeteering the entire country behind closed doors.
He believes the police carried out the killing for the Mexican government. Posadas had accused government officials of having ties to these cartels. Up to this day, it remains a mystery. What really happened in 1993 at Guadalajara Airport? This is El Chapo's wife, his sons, and one of his closest partners. Just 2 months ago, El Chapo was captured and brought to Altiplano Maximum Security Prison. Now the group is working on a plan to get him out. They begin by acquiring an old property 1 kilometer away from the prison. Next, they buy an old warehouse nearby. Here they store weapons in an armored pickup truck. Then they hire workers for one very specific job, digging a sophisticated tunnel.
How long do you think that took to dig a tunnel 1 kilometer and not be heard? Because it wasn't that far underground. And it's so weird they were able to accurately pinpoint where his cell was. Because, like, if you're underground, you have no idea where the fuck you are. Obviously, geolocation in the early 2010s, but still.
Back in 1993, after the shootout at Guadalajara Airport, the Mexican government placed a bounty on El Chapo. It took just 2 weeks until he was found and arrested. He denies being responsible for the death of the Cardinal. He insists that he was the supposed target of the shootout. Ultimately, the authorities believe him. They don't charge him for homicide, just for drug trafficking. He is sentenced to 20 years in a Mexican prison, but he continues to run the Sinaloa cartel from behind bars. Through his lawyers, he passes orders to his closest allies. He doesn't need to be in the room to pull strings.
And that's wild the lawyers just do that for him.
His empire runs on
But I mean, he's paying them good money, dude. That's like some Better Call Saul type shit. Like those lawyers for El Chapo, oh my god.
whispered instructions and tightly coordinated moves. In 2001, El Chapo has enough of life in prison. Also, the Mexican Supreme Court just approved a law that makes it easier to extradite criminals like him to the U.S. Time to get out.
Oh, and yeah, he probably knew if he got sent to the U.S., he's never getting out. Because for big like drug cartel members or just like cross country criminals, they'll just send you to supermax prisons in the middle of the mountains or the desert, and there's just no escape plan. Because even if you get them out, you're just fucking 200 miles from anywhere important where you're able to hop on a plane and get the fuck out.
The official version of his first
It's not like being like in a Miami jail.
prison escape is spectacular. He supposedly bribes a guard who helps him climb into a laundry cart. The guard then pushes the cart out of the cell, down the hallways, and through an unguarded gate to the parking lot. El Chapo jumps out and climbs into the trunk of a...
Wait, he got out that easily? Hold the fuck up. I thought this was the one where they dug the tunnel.
El Chapo jumps out and climbs into the trunk of a car. The guard gets in and drives to the outer prison gate. After a quick search, the car is waved through. Nobody checks the trunk. But again, that's just the official story. Several authors and journalists don't buy it. One argues that the prison's checkpoints were equipped with heat and motion sensors.
I don't understand why somebody that was directly below El Chapo would try to take his position while he was in prison, though. You know what I mean? Because he was in jail for how long? How long was he in fucking jail? He got imprisoned in 1993. When did he get out? Because if you're in jail for like 3-4 years, wouldn't you think that somebody would try and just steal your position? They'll die. Yeah, but like what? Yeah, he could still feed orders, but I don't understand the fear of taking orders from a man that can't physically do anything himself outside of him just having that aura of power. 2001. So he was in jail for 8 years, and he was still the head of Sinaloa cartel. Like, how did he successfully... I understand he was passing stuff to his lawyers, but how do you successfully run a cartel behind bars for almost a decade? Yeah, he probably had people that were, like, somewhat below him that ran, the day-to-day functions. Yeah, a level of loyalty for sure. It's the same thing in, like, the mafia. It's like they're family in that sense. Like, they're fucking... They just listen to him. It's like, unless he's dead, he's still the boss. I don't know. What about now? Does the Sinaloa cartel still exist? Because El Chapo for sure is not feeding info to them now. Does the Sinaloa cartel still exist? The Sinaloa cartel's current leader includes Ismael El Mayo, Zambada Garcia, Aurelio El Guano Guzman Loera, the brother of El Chapo. Okay, so his brother runs it.
Sensors, capable of detecting any living creature, even a cat. That means the alarm...
Do you think he gets any visitations? No. That's so weird to think, though. That, like, you're the son of El Chapo, and you know your dad's alive, but you're never gonna see him until even after he dies. Because I'm assuming they're not gonna, like, ship his body back when he's dead. They'll probably just cremate him in the U.S.
Alarms would have gone off. Instead, the journalists suggest that El Chapo may have left the prison dressed in a police uniform, escorted by other corrupt officers. One way or another, systemic corruption likely played a role, and El Chapo put his newly won freedom to use. In the following years, the Mexican cartel landscape changes dramatically. In 2002, the leader of the Tijuana cartel is killed in a shootout with police. One of the brothers who had supposedly tried to assassinate El Chapo at the airport. A year later, the leader of the Gulf cartel is arrested. 2 major cartels are now without leadership. El Chapo sees an opportunity. He pushes into Tijuana and Gulf territory, triggering brutal fighting. Nuevo Laredo, an area along the US-Mexican border, practically turns into a war zone. Former forces of the Mexican army begin working for El Chapo.
Genuine question. The mafia may still exist in one form or another, not nearly as much as it did in the past time. I know gangs still heavily exist in the United States. When they push drugs, are they getting drugs from cartels? Like, how does that work? Like, if you, or even like biker gangs, like they have to have so they have connections with Mexican cartels. I'm assuming that like U.S. gangs, their higher-ups have connections either through a middleman or maybe directly through to either Mexican cartel or somewhere else, even maybe like Canada if they're drug trafficking through there, to just receive things. Maybe they grow some of the stuff themselves, but I assume that most drugs sold in the United States, like hard drugs, are not grown or manufactured in the U.S. Maybe like meth, but like cocaine and shit like that, like that's all from Mexico.
They clash with what's left of the Gulf.
And then they cut it themselves. They get pure cocaine from Mexico. They probably test it, honestly. And then they cut it to their own things while they sell.
Cartel, whose core fighters were partly trained by the U.S. Early on, the violence results in more than 1,000 deaths. Many of them.
Do you think that gangs got worse, or are they less dangerous from now? U.S. gangs? I think there's less U.S. gangs that exist now than previously, but I think the gangs that still exist are, like, prominent. There's just not as many.
Early on, the violence results in more than 1,000 deaths, many of them civilians. And that's only the beginning. In 2006, Felipe Calderón becomes Mexico's new president. Determined to crack down on organized crime, he declares war on the cartels and deploys the military. The violence escalates dramatically. Between 2007 and 2014, over 160,000 people died in the course of the war on drugs. 2007 and 2014, over 160,000 people died in the course of the war on drugs in Mexico.
In 7 years, 160,000 people died in the civil war on drugs?
In these years of
How many of those were civilians versus like soldiers and gang members?
bloodshed, El Chapo rises. He becomes the world's most wanted criminal, transforming the Sinaloa cartel into one of the most powerful criminal organizations in history. It becomes the top supplier of drugs to the United States: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl.
Really, meth? I understand the other three. I feel like meth would be manufactured and made, I don't want to say in-house, but in the U.S. I understand cocaine because cocoa leaves being grown, or even heroin or fentanyl because they're opioids.
El Chapo's cartel operates in 50 countries and generates billions of dollars in profits each year. In turn, El Chapo becomes extremely wealthy, eventually making Forbes' list of the world's billionaires. No wonder it's hard to keep him locked up. El Chapo's rescue commando needs to know the exact location of his prison cell, so they smuggle a GPS watch into his prison cell,
I was just asking how the fuck they knew where they were digging.
disguised as a food item. Now the workers know in what direction they need to dig. Over the span of a year, they dig a sophisticated tunnel, a carefully planned complex construction costing approximately $5 million to make. The tunnel is 1.5 kilometers long and 1.70 meters high. It is reinforced.
What? How do you think they got him the second time, or even the third time then? Because wouldn't you just think he'd be, like, posted up? Okay, no, if they knew where he was, they might, like, carpet bomb him with a plane. Do you think he had to hide? I don't know. Because I was going to say, why doesn't he just post up in a mansion with, like, 100,000 fucking guards around him?
There are lights and even a ventilation system. Digging a tunnel creates a lot of dirt, so the workers build a rail system with a motorcycle adapted to it to move the dirt out of the tunnel. The construction is also supposed to function as an escape vehicle later on. But how did El Chapo end up in El Altiplano in the first place? Andrew Hogan is an agent with the Drug Enforcement Agency. He wants to take down the most powerful drug lord on Earth, perhaps in history. Currently, he's looking for allies, but he soon discovers somehow there is no task force, no team, not even a single federal agent assigned to the job of bringing El Chapo to justice. So he takes a Spanish class and prepares to move to Mexico. Meanwhile,
God, big fucking hopes for this man. Oh, nobody's hunting for El Chapo. Let me learn some Spanish and move to Mexico. What, is he going to single-handedly fucking find this guy?
one of Andrew's colleagues in the US manages to get the pin to El Chapo's BlackBerry, thanks to someone in his inner circle. He tracks down his phone to the holiday resort Cabo San Lucas. The colleague immediately calls Andrew. They're excited, and so they pass the information to the officials in Mexico. The DEA and Mexican police quickly head down to the place where El Chapo is supposedly hiding, but he's nowhere to be found. Next, they narrow down El Chapo's phone signal to one of 3 mansions near the resort Cabo San Lucas. This time, it's a hit. He's there. But before the forces arrive, El Chapo just escapes through the back door. Somehow he makes it to an airstrip without being caught, and is flown to safety.
Bro, if I'm El Chapo, I'm like remotely running that shit from Greenland. You know what I mean? Like, why is he, I understand? Okay, he has to be in Mexico to like be the leader, because then maybe they'll like try and like press him or some shit. Like, I mean, out of country they could still get him, but also like the people within his circle might like somewhat betray him or something if he's like too far away. But I don't know. Greenland's in NATO, bro. I'm just thinking like, what? Like, if you're in Mexico, I feel like he's more likely to get caught. But then he can't be hands-on in the cartel. How many people is enough for a gang? Fuck if I know.
El Chapo always seems to be one step ahead. He constantly changes his SIM cards and phones, and simply outsmarts the authorities. One DEA agent supposedly said the Mexicans couldn't catch El Chapo if he was standing at the fucking Starbucks across the street from the embassy. But Andrew Hogan doesn't give up. In May 2012, he moves to Mexico City with his family and takes over the Sinaloa case. In the months that follow, he and his team begin intercepting members of El Chapo's inner circle. Bit by bit, they uncovered the cartel's complex communication system, how often numbers are changed, possible code names, and GPS locations. Slowly, a picture begins to emerge. One day, El Chapo seemingly wants to meet an underling in person, and he sends one of his chauffeurs to pick him up. Hogan tracks his phone. The chauffeur finally arrives at a place in Culiacan. The signal leads to a group of 5 houses. Hogan organizes a capture operation with dozens of Mexican Marines, helicopters, and trucks, and he joins the mission himself. They surround the property and storm inside. But once again, El Chapo is gone. Instead, they find a strangely placed bathtub covering the
No, they already had a different tunnel? How many tunnels did he have?
that leads into the sewers of Culiacan.
What?
But this time, the Marines managed to stay on El Chapo's tail. 3 days later, they find out that one of his men had driven him to the coastal town of Mazatlan, to a hotel. The Marines enter the 4th floor of the hotel. They storm into room 401, heading...
God, dude, you know how anxious he probably was on a given day? I'm not, like, sympathizing with him, but I'm saying, imagine being the head of, like, the biggest Mexican cartel in your time, and, like, every 3 days, you're barely escaping, like, fucking Marine tanks coming for you.
Chapo is with his family. He barricades himself in the bathroom with an assault rifle.
You think he regrets it that when he's in prison? I don't know. I don't know El Chapo.
His wife pleads with the soldiers not to harm their daughters. Shortly after El Chapo surrenders, they got him. Andrew Hogan's job is done now. He caught the most wanted man on the planet, and he worries for the safety of his family, who moved to Mexico with him. So they board a plane back to the US. Meanwhile, El Chapo goes to Altiplano. The US is pushing hard for his extradition. This would likely be his doom, the end of his reign. Time for another tunnel.
This is where he ends up getting out on the motorbike.
The rescue team and the workers manage to locate the exact spot of El Chapo's cell shower. They build a 10-meter vertical passageway that connects the tunnels to the cell, including a ladder.
10-meter vertical? They were digging 30 fucking feet underground? I thought the tunnel was like 10 feet underground. Like 8 feet underground. Like not, like right there. That's why I was like, oh, how did they hear him digging? How did they not hear him digging? Because I didn't think it was that deep. Jesus, dude. They're starting to fucking strip mine.
All this digging and drilling creates a lot of noise. Several inmates are complaining, but the guards
they did hear it.
Ignore them. El Chapo's rescue team manages to complete the 5 million tunnel directly into his prison cell, without anyone interfering.
Bro, so they just heard the digging for weeks?
All that's left is breaking through the cell floor, and thus comes the day. El Chapo sits on his bed. A surveillance camera monitors him closely. The camera also records audio. You can hear television. The volume is turned up. But you also hear loud banging noises. Probably someone is breaking through the cell floor. Next, El Chapo begins to pace up and down in his cell. After some time, he walks to his shower stall, bends over, and goes back to his bed. He removes his shoes, sits for a second. Then he walks behind the shower wall.
Yo, his heart was probably fucking racing. Oh my god.
And simply disappears.
How long did it take them to notice?
He squeezes through the hole in the ground. It's just 50 by 50 centimeters wide. 1 meter below, he finds footing on a ladder. He climbs down 10 meters into the ground until he reaches the tunnel. Someone is already waiting for him, likely his wife's brother. The rescuer sits on the motorcycle on rails. El Chapo climbs on behind him. Together they make the 1.5 kilometer ride to the other end of the tunnel. When they
Wow, what a ride that would be. You think they talked? No. I think it was dead. It was probably like, hey, haven't seen you in a while. And then just go. Like, fucking haul ass.
arrive, El Chapo and his companion climb up a small ladder through the exit shaft. They end up in an unfinished house, covered with construction material. An ATV is parked outside. They drive a short distance to a warehouse and switch to an SUV. Then they drive for 2 hours, until they arrive at an airstrip. A plane is already waiting. They board it and fly to Sinaloa. Two months later, one of El Chapo's sons posts a tweet. "I'm doing fine here. You already know with whom." Attached is a photo, presumably with his father. The tweet is tagged with a location, Costa Rica.
No way he just fucking leaked where El Chapo was. Is that how they found him again?
Let's back up for a second. Some things about this spectacular escape just don't add up. There's video footage of guards watching their screens as El Chapo disappears, yet it takes them 20 minutes to check his cell. They even wait a few more minutes before they finally enter and check the escape hole. Also, it seems unlikely that building such a tunnel truly went unnoticed.
They may have paid people off.
After all inmates
They may have paid people off. Yeah.
actively complained about the drilling noise. A large majority of Mexicans believe the escape was an inside job. Shortly after El Chapo's second prison escape, the prison's warden and 2 other officials were fired. Next, 4 Mexican officials were charged. 2 were members of Mexico's Secret Service, based at the prison. The other 2 were guards who sat in the control room, monitoring El Chapo's cell. The accusation is that they bought El Chapo valuable time by not raising the alarm once the drug lord was gone. And El Chapo, he again becomes one of the most wanted criminals on Earth. The pressure to finally bring him to justice.
$5 million? No, but they're killing your ass. Nope. I could see El Chapo at a fucking local 7-Eleven and I'm not calling that fucking phone number. Hell no. I'm not ratting on his ass. That would get you killed. Your whole family's dead. Nope. Not doing that. That would be such a bad idea. You have $5 million. $5 million, you're going to have fucking 1 day to spend it.
Justice is higher than ever. The hunt
Because they're going to fucking skin you alive, dude. You're going to die a gruesome death. It's fucking not worth it.
is on. Then El Chapo makes a crazy move. He knows he's considered a legend in Mexico, and he wants even more fame. A movie about his life on the big screen.
Dude, did I, skip? Oh, no.
Sean Penn is already involved in a production about him, along with Mexican actress Kate del Castillo. Castillo manages to contact El Chapo and his associates. Finally, El Chapo agrees to meet her and Sean Penn in person to talk about the movie, while technically he's on the run. This is a photo of the meetup.
What? I did not know this. Sean Penn met El Chapo while he was on the run.
Sean Penn interviews El Chapo about his career as a drug lord, a story later published by the Rolling Stone. In it, Penn reveals that El Chapo's escape tunnel engineers have been flown to Germany for 3 months of extensive additional training, necessary to deal with the low-lying water table beneath the prison. It's a gripping read. Beneath his smile, there's a doubtlessness to his facial expression. A question comes to mind as I observe his face, both as he speaks as while he listens. What is it that removes all doubt from a man's eyes? Is it power, admirable clarity, or
power, dude? I wouldn't even say soullessness. I mean, soullessness maybe from power, but dude, you're one of the most powerful men in the world. Leader of the fucking Sinaloan cartel at that time. He had endless money and basically had a country at hold. You could do anything, especially after you've already proven to escape prison twice.
soullessness. But according to government sources, the interview is also a crucial factor for investigators to get closer to El Chapo. Apparently, all the while, they're monitoring Penn and Castillo's movements very closely. It's October 9th, 2015. Mexican special forces are closing in on him in the mountains of Sinaloa.
How the fuck did they contact El Chapo? Side question. It was oh yeah, the actress got in contact with El Chapo. Through what? Fucking Facebook Messenger? What, did they just hit him up? And how did they arrange that meetup? Wouldn't you think that the people would be yeah, we're gonna make sure you don't try and fucking work with the FBI to get us or some shit?
After a while, they actually spot him. He's only got 1 bodyguard with him. This is their moment. They take off after them, chasing them through the terrain. As they get nearer, El Chapo falls off a cliff. His bodyguard finds him and carries him to the depths of the forest. The special forces lose sight of them and they escape. A catastrophic failure. But the authorities don't give up the hunt. In January 2016, they get another chance. The Marines manage to locate El Chapo once again in the coastal city of Los Mochis. The clue comes from a taco order placed from a white van. Witnesses say the driver is one of El Chapo's men. The Marines begin to surveil the car. It ultimately leads them to a safe house. A few hours later, the soldiers storm the place. Cartel gunmen try to hold them off. A gunfight breaks out. The Marines eventually push up to the second floor, then the roof. But El Chapo is gone. True to his form, he and one of his gunmen fled through a hidden tunnel. Right now, they are climbing out of a drainage tunnel a short distance away, right across from a Walmart.
Oh my God, no way. Imagine you're shopping at a Walmart in Mexico on vacation in 2016, and you see fucking El Chapo pop out of like a drain. Like, what? That would be surreal.
El Chapo and his gunmen need to escape quickly. They steal a car, guns drawn, but after just driving a few blocks, the car breaks down. So they ditch it and lose valuable time. Then they take over another car and manage to get on the highway, but it's too late. Police finally arrest El Chapo, one of history's most powerful drug lords. He tells the officers, "You are all going to die." 40 of his assassins are supposedly on their way to free him, but he gets handed over to the Marines, and it's over. After a decade of hide-and-seek, escaping over and over again, in all likelihood protected by systemic corruption, El Chapo has finally been caught. Later that day, the Mexican president tweets, "Mission accomplished. We have him." Soon after, El Chapo was
Have they ever done an interview with him recently?
extradited to the United States, the one thing he truly feared. On July 17th, 2019,
I want to look that up.
Quiero dejar en claro el contenido de esta entrevista es exclusivo para la señorita Kay del Castillo y el señor Sean Penn. ¿Cómo pasó? ¿Cómo empezó a tener contacto con las drogas? Bueno, de la edad de 15 años en adelante, de donde yo soy, que es el municipio de Badiraguato, yo me crié en un rancho que se llama La Tuna. Por allá hasta la fecha no hay fuentes de trabajo.
I don't know. I've always wondered, like, if they've ever done, like, they always, like, hey, have you ever done, like, they never do in-depth interviews. They're always like, hey, how do you get into the drug business? I would be like, I don't give a fuck how you got into the drug business, dude. Like, what do you think on a day-to-day basis philosophically? You know what I mean? Like, do you ever go like, wow, dude, I've, like, killed, like, 100,000 people? Like, shit like that. Like, just, or, like, even dictators in history. Like, being able to sit down and, like, ask fucking people that have contributed to mass death. Like, how do you, like, do you care? Is that something that you battle with? Did you care and now you don't? And it's like you've grown cold to it? Or is it just like, hey, man, love of the game. That's how it fucking happens. Like, that's how the fucking ball rolls.
3 years after his second escape, he was sentenced to life in Colorado's Supermax prison. That's where he remains locked up to this day. The Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican cartels.
You would go crazy, dude. Imagine being in that cell 23 hours a day. Forever.
That's where he remains locked up to this day. The Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican cartels are as strong as ever, operating as undeterred global organizations.
Not me. Bro, TB, you would go... I'd give you a week. I'd give you a week. A week. I give the average person 6 days until they fucking lose their mind. 23 hours a day, you're just in a room. Yeah, you got a book. That's all you got. You got one book. You got a book. Maybe a few books. You get a book every once in a while. You have the same fucking shit meal every day. You shit on camera. You poop on camera. There's no sunlight. There's a little ass window. And you're just there all fucking day. All fucking day. You would get so bored. Boredom is on the level of disgust. On like a wheel of emotions. It's like a very minimal form of disgust. You would go from bored to it literally feeling like genuine torture.
There's so much more to this story that we couldn't cover in this video. But apparently, some video journalist obsessed with maps is about to pick it up very soon.
Oh, Oh, Johnny Harris. That's my goat. That's my goat. He said he was making a video on North Korea soon, and I've been waiting for it. Love watching videos about North Korea. Ugh. I don't think anybody between the age of 14 to 20 would be able to handle more than a day because they would miss the internet. I think you could handle a day. I'm saying, I think it would get easier and then really hard. I think for the majority of us, if you were in a room alone for 23 hours a day, first week, it's like, fuck, dude, I have no technology. You get over it. Then it's like, wow, I have no interaction with people. Uh-oh. Wow, I haven't seen the outside. Wow, I'm never getting out of here. And then you just fucking go, ooh, 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 ooh. Fucking crazy. Also, W stream chat. If you have any videos you want me to watch or games you want me to play, video suggestion chat. My job experience.
This is a horrifying path that almost everybody will have to eventually face in their life, whether we like it or not. And most of the time, we don't. But everyone has to get their bread somehow. So we just gotta suck it up and pray that we win the lottery or our parlay hits one day. Because let's be for real, nobody want a job. Like, unless you got real aspirations for a certain type of work, I think most of us, if given a magical opportunity to get paid however much you get paid now and not work that job again, we would take it. Because most of us.
Yeah, I think a bigger problem, though, is that all of the good jobs that people do want are either far and few between where they're all full, or they pay fucking nothing. Like, a lot, like, dude, working at an animal shelter. Hard work makes you feel like you're doing something good. Most people volunteering, if you are working, you're not getting paid much, right? Like those types of things where you're like, hey, I enjoy this, but you're getting what? Fucking minimum wage, or you're volunteering your time. Like anything where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm doing something. Like, yeah, nobody's going to want to work a fucking 9 to 5 flipping burgers at a McDonald's.
Us see jobs as a way to get by in life and try to make ends meet. There's no room for you to pursue passions in this economy. You better second guess that art degree and major in business so you can be an executive marketing promoter for a billion-dollar company. But I digress. I'm just saying, I doubt that is most people's passions to work at a 9 to 5 at a warehouse lifting boxes. I don't
know. Do you think there's some people that genuinely enjoy working their 9 to 5? I think it depends on the career. I enjoy streaming. I also have a great job, right? So and it's not a 9 to 5. I pick my own hours. So, like, what's a job that you think people do enjoy that's a 9 to 5? No union work. I don't think anything carpentry, plumbing, electrician, unions. I don't think anybody doing that enjoys it. I don't think they hate it, but it's like we're doing it. They're doing it for the money. Maybe teachers. I think teachers enjoy it. Welding. I think there might be welders that enjoy welding or like restoration work if they're really into it. Working at zoos. Yeah. I think zookeepers like their job. I would say zookeepers, or if you work in an aquarium. But those are like, you know, far and few between jobs. That's what I was talking about. Doctors don't enjoy their job. Buddy, the majority of doctors are going in it for the money. I think there's a few doctors that enjoy saving and helping people. I don't think they like the activity of going to work and having to be there for 10 hours a day. Like nurses. I know EMTs. They like helping people. They don't like their job. You know, you could still be like, oh, I enjoy the benefit I give to people, but I'm not enjoying the active, like having to wake up at 5 a.m. to go on a call.
Mean any disrespect, but am I wrong? Plus, it's fun being unemployed. As long as you got a roof over your head and don't need to worry about bills, most likely because you still live with your parents, then why would you want a job? That sounds like it's taking away your time from being grandmaster on Rivals and watching reels. Nah, that's too much. But eventually, you want to get your own stuff. You know, young boy ticket.
I think the issue is if you get caught up on, hey, I don't want to have to work until I'm 65, so I'm going to like live with my parents right now, but then you don't get a job, then you're forcing yourself to work till 65. Because if you don't, like, money compounds over time. You gain interest. If you save money, that money will accrue more money over time, especially if you invest it correctly. Not financial advice. But if you're like, you know, unemployed until you're 28 years old, you're already, you know, 8 years, 9 years behind everybody else. So you're already setting yourself off to a rough patch there. And obviously this is coming from a fucking Twitch streamer, so take everything I say with a fucking grain of salt. But if you don't start working, like the biggest thing that upsets me is, and I understand I did social media in college. I think I had to balance a lot because I got a fucking bachelor's degree while I was streaming 100 hours a month and doing all this other stuff. Obviously, there are people that had it way worse, but I was still doing work, right? Even if my job is fun. But I don't understand people that go through college and get their first job at 24. If that's you, I'm not making fun of you. I just don't understand people not having a job in high school is one thing. I don't think that's bad, right? Like if you want a job in high school, if you don't, you want to focus on sports or whatever, your AP classes, that's fine. But like if you're getting through high school and college and maybe your parents are paying for shit and like, yeah, you're able to coast through it. That's fine. But now like you're probably going to hate your job because you're not like your first job experience is a real 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if you were able to work at like 7-Eleven or a 9 to 5 at Wendy's, McDonald's, Walmart, waitressing, and then you get into a real job at 24, 23, you're going to be more prepared and ready and you understand the expectations versus, hey, I'm fucking mid-20s, never worked a day in my life, first time fucking clocking in.
It ain't free. Or life really hits you in the face and now you actually have bills. So eventually we all have to get
I like being a kid. Yeah, cherish that time, but also recognize the benefits of not being a kid and that you can't be a kid forever. You're not going to be 15 forever. You're not going to be 16 forever. At some point, you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to work a 9 to 5. You're going to have to, maybe not a 9 to 5, but you're going to have to make money somehow to live, right? You can't have everything provided for you your whole life. Quit being depressing. I don't think it's depressing. I think it's something that you should just casually think about. I think a lot of you guys stress about it too much, and I think there is a lot of pressure put on you guys more than previous generations. I think Gen Z has a lot of expectations, especially how today's economy is, where it's like, hey, if you don't get a college degree, you're fucked. Hey, if you don't do this and you don't do that and you don't get a good GPA and you don't do academics and work a job at the same time, you're not going to be able to succeed in life because you're going to be indebted to student loans for the rest of your life. You're going to work until you're 75 and then you're going to die having no paid time off and you're going to visit one country the entire length of your life. Like, that's stressful. But, like, also recognize, hey, just plan shit slowly. Don't not think about it, but don't force yourself to think about it so much that it stresses you out. Plan time out to be like, hey, let me schedule this. Let me have a few plans. Let me have a few backup plans. So then you could go into that knowing what you're doing. Even if you feel like you're doing something good, if you're getting mentally taxed from it, that is the downside of your job. Even if you're getting good money and you feel like you're doing good, it is mentally taxing. Like surgeons make good money. They help people. The job's fucking hard as shit. Long education, long hours, and you're exhausted. And also just like the mental guilt. Like if you're fucking making $500K a year, but you just didn't save somebody in surgery and they're dead. Like that fucking, like every job has downside.
You know what's harder than actually deciding to get a job? Finding one that hires you. I swear you could send 100 applications to 100 different places and all of them would still ghost you. You think with how many job openings you see, the businesses are desperate to find people. But nah, it feels like they're posting it as bait just to mess with people or steal your info. Not only that, if this is your first job, you're gonna have a harder time because even the quote-unquote entry-level jobs are asking for a qualification of having prior experience. Like, isn't that what this job is for?
I think a lot of them list that, but in my experience when I was applying is they'll still accept you if they need the job. It's how bad they need an employee. If no one's applying and you apply and you could get away without having the full requirements, but if they have 100 people applying for one job position, they're going to pick the best person. So if they know that they're going to get a lot of job applications, they'll up the requirements. So then less people will apply and they'll just get better candidates. Versus if it's bare minimum, then 150 people apply and they have to weed through those. Versus going, hey, we need a bachelor's degree to work a fucking minimum wage job. They're going to get 5 applications. They just pick one guy.
Supposed to get experience and not be homeless while almost every decent paying job requires that. And trying to apply for a job on LinkedIn or Indeed is like sending your application into a void. I swear none of those people be reading them. You could have the most stacked profile on LinkedIn. You got a bachelor's, master's, discovered the cure for cancer. Then you send in an application for your dream job to your dream company. Then they write back to you saying, we've read your application. Unfortunately, the CEO's daughter has took your position that you applied for, so get the f*** on. Back when I was still
Yeah, I mean, connections, I always say this, connections is everything. Connections is gonna make or break whether or not you get a job as well, and that rules out experience. Experience matters more than a lot, but connections trumps that. If you have a job position that's open, but it's like the daughter or son or cousin of somebody that's already in the field and they can get a recommendation, you're fucked. You're not getting the job. Yeah, nepotism, for sure. I think it's different, nepotism versus like just like a nepo baby in general that's just getting everything handed to them. But it is also just like, why wouldn't you do that? You know? You're gonna help out your family. If you were in that position where you could get your son a job, fuck the other guy. I don't know this random guy named John that needs a fucking job real bad. I'm going to get my kid a job versus them. So you're always going to put your family first or friends first in that aspect.
applying for jobs, I literally gave up on sending applications on those sites because I never get a response back. Like, damn, was my application that bad? Even when your application does get noticed and you get set up for an interview, you still got to go through some more bullshit-ass questions. Why did you choose our business? Y'all hiring. Like, what's up?
Yeah, you got to glaze the fuck out of it. I think the weirdest thing is when jobs require a bachelor's degree, but any bachelor's degree. It's just fucking weird. Like, there's so many jobs that are like, hey, you need a 4-year degree. Doesn't matter in what. Oh, so you'd hire a guy that had a 4-year degree in communications, fucking biology, chemistry, physics, philosophy, fucking anything. What the fuck? So it's just like, oh, you have to be smart enough to get through college. That's really what they're telling you. You need a degree. Shows hard work and persistence? It doesn't, though. It doesn't, though. You know how much, you know the difference between levels of how hard a degree is versus another? I got a BA in philosophy. It's not for everybody, right? But I read and I wrote papers. I could get 2 BAs in philosophy from 2 different universities easier than getting a fucking biochem degree from one university. I could get 2 bachelors from 2 different universities in philosophy easier than I could a fucking biochem degree. For sure. So how are you going to fucking sit here and say, oh, it's just like it shows persistence? I think you could fucking steamroll through certain degrees way easier than others.
Money? What else am I here for? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Hopefully not here. That's just me being honest with my answers. What do you want me to do? Work here for the rest of my life? This is a Wendy's! So you gotta lie with any question they ask. You have to make yourself look as good as possible. So you gotta fake it till you make it. Even if they asked you a stupid question like, would you still work this job even if there was no pay? You say absolutely. I always wanted to be a slave. Congratulations.
Well, one of the biggest things is like job hopping and just getting experience where you can. Like, if you're able to get a job that you know you don't want, but you could hold for a certain period of time so you could put it on your resume for another job in good standing, that helps you out fucking tenfold comparable to somebody else with nothing. Like, sometimes grabbing a job that you don't want and just holding it for a little bit and then dipping is like, hey, I worked here for 6 months. I worked here for a year.
Congratulations, you have successfully become employed. The end of your life starts Tuesday. After starting a job, I feel after the first week, you can find out whether you like it or quit it the next month. And it won't be the job itself to motivate this decision. It's your boss and coworkers.
What's like the best minimum wage job you could hold? Like some easy shit. I think pushing shopping carts in a very good climate-based area. When I applied to jobs, I wanted to be a cart boy so bad. But like only during like fall, winter. Like if it's like Arizona, oh fuck being a cart kid. Like it's like 110 degrees outside. Discord mod. Stacking shelves. Is stacking shelves a good job? I feel like you're going to get a different answer depending on where they work and who it is. Working at a Publix, Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot's easy as shit. Yeah, I feel like you don't get many customers at Home Depot too. Like you kind of just bum around. You just kind of stand there. And a lot of the shit's self-checkout too. Full service gas station. Yeah, being a gas clerk in New Jersey is kind of a fire job. But you make more than minimum wage, I think. You just fucking sit there, pump people's gas. Hey, what is it? Filled up regular. Oh, okay, boss. You want the receipt? No? Have a good day. Next. And then you just sit in a box, and it's heated. Heated or cooled. You're just kind of chilling, working at the movies. I feel like working at the movies right now was like a horrible era. Coming off the Minecraft film, no. Working at the movies would suck. That aspect of it. Depends what movies are out. That's what determines how good your job is at a movie theater. What movies are out.
They can make or break this whole thing. If you happen to get a chill boss and co-workers you can vibe with, that's amazing. That's how my last real job was. I used to be a waiter for weddings and other events. That job low-key had me stressing because I wasn't good at the start. I was awkward taking orders, I would mess up orders, and one time...
I think being a waiter is one of the worst jobs you could have. Any service job where you're working for tips is terrible. Unless it's... Okay, no, you know the best job? Bottle service. Being an attractive bottle service woman at a nightclub, you work shit hours, but if it's a popular nightclub and you just go, oh, it's Ronald's birthday. Here's a $180 bottle of Grey Goose. And then they tip you fucking $50 on that. Like there's some clubs, like day clubs in AC in New Jersey. And if you're like a bottle girl there and dude, you might just get somebody that orders like $1,000 of alcohol and they're gonna put even 10% gratuity. You just bring out bottles of liquor, stand there for 10 minutes. You make $100.
Imagine working a 16-hour shift and walking out of it happy. One day I clocked in for a double shift for a wedding and a Sweet 16 at 9:30 a.m. and clocking out at 1:30 a.m. Granted, I was dead after that shift and had to take off my shoes more than once, but I got $60 worth of tips and went to Wawa after work, so I felt like Gucci.
Oh, Wawa. Got that fucking quarter-pound hot dog and a Slurpee.
And I believe I only felt like this because the environment I was around was nice. Sometimes. I've had to serve some aggressive people at some points.
Yeah, it's my birthday today. What can I get out here for free? You a bitch.
If I had trash co-workers or a trash boss, I would have not stayed at that job for long. I have zero patience for bullshit. Literally. Like example, the first job I've ever had in my senior year of high school, I was a janitor at a warehouse. I had no co-workers.
A janitor at a warehouse. How did he land that job? I feel like most high schoolers either do service jobs or work at retail. That's like 99% of high school jobs is working at like grocery stores, fast food, or restaurants.
So I had nobody to talk to, and my boss was not a bad...
Yeah, being like a dishwasher.
Person, but a bad...
I don't know. Is being a dishwasher a bad job? Yeah. I don't know in the restaurant business what would be the worst, though. Being a cook in certain... I think the benefit of being like some jobs that are mentally stimulating are better than ones that are boring. Would you rather have a job? Here's a question for chat. Would you rather have a job that is like boring, where you do absolutely nothing, but you get paid, you know, the same amount as another job where you're like constantly working, but it goes by quicker? Yeah, I think that I would rather have the mentally stimulating one where I'm just constantly doing shit for like 7 hours a day. Because then at least, you know, you're living. Even if, like, you're, like, kind of in a woo-way state where you're just kind of mindlessly working, you know, or, like, effortless effort, as they would say, I think that's better than just, like, dude, I know I always relate this back to GNC. When I would work at GNC, I would do an 8-hour shift and sit there for 6 hours, and no one would come in. No one would come in. And I would have other jobs where I'd have to clean shelves, stock things, keep inventory, but, like, I would get that done in an hour, and then I would just sit there. And I just go. And you weren't allowed to, like, chill on your phone. So I would just stand there. Like, literally a Sims character. Just, like. Just waiting. Just wandering the store. Just NPC pacing. In, like, a fucking set path.
I'd be working shifts that were 2 to 3 hours every few days, cleaning the break rooms, hallways, and bathrooms. So my pay wasn't even that good, but since I was still in school, I was just thinking, I'm making money and I got more time to study and goon. That sounds like a win-win! But when payday arrived, I would only be paid for half the hours I worked, sometimes less. I was already barely working as is, combined with a salary of $13 an hour, cleaning up pee-pee and poo-poo. Man, I'm not taking it. Plus, he only paid me.
This motherfucker definitely lives in New Jersey. Degenerosity mentioning Wawa and 13 an hour when he was in high school? Surely. Wawa 13 an hour?
Through Cash App. You've ever had a job that only paid you through Cash App? Man, I had to go.
Okay, no, that has to be illegal. Your career paid, your job paid you in Cash App. You weren't even on their books, bro. He didn't even fill out a tax form. That motherfucker was getting paid under the table.
I only worked there for a few weeks. He did pay me the rest of the money after, so he cool, but man, warehouse jobs are not it. My patience dwindled faster when I got accepted at BJ's, and I worked there for 1 day. I asked to go to the bathroom and left during orientation. I discovered they weren't what they
left during orientation. No fucking way. Bro, what? Yo, can I go to the bathroom? You leave mid... Bro, you had a shift. You just dip during the fucking, like, teaching day?
But how you gonna call yourselves BJs without expecting people to have certain expectations? That's false advertising. So I left. That wasn't really the reason. I just didn't want to work in the freezer. That's when I started my waiting job, then YouTube, and now here I am. Unemployed since. I'm just saying I can understand the struggles of looking for and having a job. Man. Especially the ones you only take to make ends meet. And the unemployed life can be really fun when you have stuff to fall back on. If not, it will only be short-term satisfaction. Eventually.
Bro, I also think that you could solve a lot of the like unrest in the job market in the US by just cutting some of the work time. Like, no, there's never going to be a world where everybody's going to be happy working their job, but you could get through like a 30-hour work week. Like, the average person would be much less unhappy if they worked 6 hours a day, 5 days a week versus 8 or 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, that's how like a lot of European countries do that. If you were to work like 9 to 3, that's not that bad. Like 9 to 3, and then you have the rest of the day off, and you're getting paid the same amount. The problem is that's never going to happen because they're not going to up your wages, and then they're never going to do that. You would just make less money. Yeah, they would never do that for us, though. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. But dude, it's so weird that we still live in the 8-hour workday space. Because do you know how that originated? By the way, the 8-hour workday. We talked about that, but this has been a while. The 8-hour shift started during like the Industrial Revolution when like Henry Ford wanted to, they wanted to have 8, 8, and 8. 8 hours rest, 8 hours work, 8 hours like relaxation, right? Or like rec time where you would do whatever. You would split your day in three points where you'd sleep for 8, you would work for 8, you had 8 off. And it's crazy. We're still advancing technologically and societally, but we're still in the industrial level workday. And I think a lot of countries are out of that, but the US, I think, will remain that way forever. What do you think is the easiest job? I don't know. A lot of people are going to say streaming. I don't think streaming is the easiest job. I think streaming is one of the best jobs. I don't think that my job is by any means harder than a 9 to 5, though. I think that is crack shit when people say that. You want the easiest job? TikToker. More than streamer. I think being one of the people on TikTok that make 4 TikToks a day and do dance, like Charlie D'Amelio, was an easy job. She got a lot of hate. I think you don't recognize the downsides of the job that come alongside it. The work for her was high because she was one of the biggest TikTokers, so she had a lot of ad stuff. But like if you're like somebody on TikTok that makes like 4 videos a day, or you're like a clipper on TikTok and you make a full-time salary clipping content on TikTok, that's the easiest job in the world. You're not even making original content. You clip other people's content, make money off of it, give publicity to the person so they don't even care, and then you're making fucking $10,000 a month doing that. OnlyFans content? Yeah, but OnlyFans content's easy, but you also like... Yeah, you have to have the body for it. You have to stomach all the weirdos, and you're going to have stalkers, right? So you have to recognize, if you're going just for surface value, what's the easiest job? Yeah, TikToker, OnlyFans, shit like that. Like food tasting. But if you're going, like, and adding up the downsides of, like, weirdos and shit, then you get into, like, a bigger debate.
Have to get a career, deal with any of the shortcomings of it, and do that for the rest of your life. The American...
Actually, no. I wouldn't even say easiest. Like, if you're going easiest job, you're going, like, something that is a minimum wage job that you do nothing. It just sucks because you work long hours and get paid shit. Like, those jobs aren't necessarily, like, not every minimum wage job. I'm saying certain jobs are easy, they just suck because you get paid nothing, they're boring, and you work 10 hours a day. So, I mean, have that argument of what's the easiest job is hard.
Dream. So when looking for a job, make sure to get one that you like if you have the privilege to do so. That's all I really wanted to say. And in conclusion, enjoy unemployment while you still can. Different stroke.
That was a really good video. I passed out 14 different times during this video. Please refrain from the use of profanity in the next one. I think out of social media jobs, Snapchat's the easiest. What David Dobrik does, that's the easiest social media job. End of story. End of conversation. That's the easiest job. Just post 80 different fucking pictures on Snapchat and then post a clickbait of a woman in a mirror doing this. And then that'll be the thumbnail, and then you're going to have a bunch of gooners that go and spam through 10 different ads, and then you get paid. And so that's how, like, Bryce Hall, David Dobrik, and all those guys make money. is they just fucking spam post on Snapchat, and it makes a bag. It makes a bag. So, like, those content guys make a lot. I think that's easiest in the content realm. Maybe Instagram, if you're like an Instagram model, but you have to upkeep your body, obviously, and the way you look, which is stressful. Then TikTok. I think one of the worst social media jobs, or hardest, God, I'm going to sound like such an ass saying this, streaming. I think streaming, because streaming, you still have active hours. Streaming, you still have active hours. YouTube, you pick. I'm not saying streaming's hard, by the way. I need to preface that. Streaming is not, I'm not saying this is a hard job. I'm not saying this is a tough job by any means. I'm saying out of social media, just influencer jobs, I think streaming is the longest hourly, and then YouTube content. But it depends on the YouTuber. Streaming and YouTubers, it's the longest hours. Like, XQC will stream like 15 hours a day. But I'm just comparing to content. I still think my job's easier than any 9 to 5. Genuinely. I think my job's easier and better than any 9 to 5. But I think if you're going on the streaming, or if you're going like streaming versus Snapchat versus like guys that just retweet and rip Twitter posts, like, that's like easier work. Chat, first in video, a tribute to Gen Z media. Dude, it is kind of sad that like Gen Z media is coming to an end. At least young Gen Z media. Not like right now, but what, like the youngest Gen Z, the oldest Gen Zer is almost 30, and the youngest Gen Zer is what, like 15, 14? So in like, 3 or 4 years, it'll be like Gen Alpha now 15, I think. So it's like it's starting to be like Gen Alpha media now, meme-wise at least.
Every generation thinks they have the best movies, music, TV shows, and books. And as a member of Gen Z, let me just say,
I don't think that Gen Z has the best movies. I think millennials have the best movies. We were alive as Gen Zers, but I think like best movie era is like 2000 to 2010. I don't think Gen Z has that. I don't think Gen Z has that at all. I think like the first 10 years of the 2000s was like prime movie era.
that we definitely do. Let's start out with TV, and more specifically, cartoons. The hyper-ironic, random humor Gen Z is known for really just stems from the cartoons we grew up watching. I mean, the most popular cartoon of our childhood followed an anthropomorphic bird and raccoon.
Was Regular Show really the most popular? I think it was up there. I feel like the most popular cartoon of our era was still probably SpongeBob. But SpongeBob existed for millennials. SpongeBob existed in the 90s, right? I don't know. Adventure Time? I would say Regular Show is probably one of the top 10 most popular. That's probably a Googleable question. What are the most popular cartoons, kid cartoons of all time? Top 20 best kids cartoons of all time. time. Well, I don't know if this is like an accurate list. It's at number 1 of Looney Tunes. I think Looney Tunes is fair. Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo. Yeah. Avatar, Batman, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Kim Possible, SpongeBob, Phineas and Ferb, Spider-Man, Bluey. That's modern day. Powerpuff Girls, Danny Phantom, Teen Titans, Ben 10. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's a fucking callback. I don't know how accurate that list is, though.
Working at a park with a green man, a ghost, an immortal yeti with a gumball machine as a boss.
Bro, you know one show that was popular when we were kids that I never watched, and then I finally gave it a try, and because one TikTok made me want to watch it because he was talking about how funny it was, and I watched it, and it was unbearably bad. Oh my god, what is it called? It's like Uncle something. Uncle Grandpa. Uncle Grandpa is such a bad show. It's like it's so kiddish. It's so bad. Uncle Grandpa. If this becomes a YouTube video, fucking editor, throw up an image of Uncle Grandpa or like the fucking like cover photo. It's so bad. Yeah, I only got through the first episode. But it was like, he opens the door, he's like, oh, hello there. And it's like, oh, God. It's just annoying. Regular show is like a show you could watch when you're 5 and a show we could watch when you're 25 and high. Like, it works, right? It's an all-around show. Same thing with, like, Gravity Falls. I think if we're actually talking about peak Gen Z media, the best cartoon to come out of our generation is Gravity Falls. And that's not even our generation, though. Somebody that wasn't Gen Z made it.
Doesn't really get more
just came out during our time.
Random than that. Regular Show really had a massive influence on Gen Z's humor. I mean, the amount of times me and my friends have said, oh, after something epic happens, it's gotta be in the hundreds. And we didn't just have Regular Show.
Oh, Johnny Test, dude. Bling Bling Boy. My God, this used to be my show on Cartoon Network. This was like endless entertainment when this was on.
I mean, Phineas and Ferb is probably my favorite show of all time, up there with The Sopranos. While the animation...
Phineas and Ferb is up there with The Sopranos. I think the humor is pretty fair. I think Phineas and Ferb, the vibe of the show was good. It wasn't like modern day brain rot like Cocomelon, but it was interesting enough to where every episode was its own little random thing that was happening that like connected somewhat to an overall story, which was good. Ermit's trash? No, Phineas and Ferb was good. Phineas and Ferb was definitely a good show.
And premise of the show makes it appear like it's meant for little kids. The writing and humor is so clever and witty that I enjoy the show more now at 20 years old than I did when I was a little kid. Other shows like Gravity Falls, The Amazing World of Gumball, and Adventure Time also helped
I couldn't get behind Adventure Time. I think it's a little too kiddish at the start, and the animation's terrible. It hurts my eyes to watch. They're like little doodles that anyone could draw, and I don't like that. I think Gravity Falls, I think Amazing World of Gumball was cool, and I liked the humor. I know it's a bad take. I know Adventure Time's really popular and really emotional when it ended. I just never got behind it.
Let's talk about
I know it's a bad take.
Music. Man, from 2014 to 2019, the amount of amazing music that was released is astounding. Gen Z is obsessed with 2016, and I think a main reason...
Yeah, no, 2016 was fucking peak media. Peak YouTube, I think the reason that is as well is because 2016 is also like a era where a lot of people were graduating high school, a lot of people were graduating middle school, a lot of people were in transitional phases, and so it's like a memorable time. I always say one of the most like memorable artists or most nostalgic artists of that time was Juice WRLD, but that was 2018. That was like 2017, 2018. Juice WRLD, bro, fucking Lucid Dreams comes on, I get teleported back to freshman year, sophomore year. Teleported when Lucid like like that beat comes on, bro. Everybody was playing that all day. That was that shit the backpack kids had when they'd be walking through the hallways.
And for that is because so many great albums were released that year. Blonde, Starboy, Anti, Lemonade, Coloring Book, Black Star, The Life of Pablo, Untitled, Unmastered, Views, Awaken My Love. I mean, 2016 Uzi has basically become a mythical figure because of his consistency and output during that year. And I
think that those albums were definitely really good, but they're also perceived better in the minds of people that grew up with them because you're always going to hold some level of, like, I guess, praise for something that you've known. Not necessarily even on a nostalgia factor. It's like, you know, when your parents today might be like, modern rap these days is a bunch of mumbo jumbo and it doesn't make fucking sense anymore. You gotta listen to the OGs. Like, some shit like that. Like, it's the same thing. You'll be that. I hate to say it. That'll be you. Right, in 30 years, that'll be you. You'll be saying the same shit, but you'll say the same shit, and you'll be like, man, back in my day, Lil Uzi was the shit. Now you guys are listening to those fucking stupid Gen Alpha artists.
I'm not saying these are necessarily Gen Z albums, but usually the music that's the most important to you is the music that was released during your formative years, and I just gotta say, we low-key win. Like, yeah, I'll admit we didn't have Michael Jackson or Biggie or Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, but bro, do you know who we got? My man Fetty Wap. Listen, I'm not getting behind this. I'm not getting behind this. I'm not getting behind the, oh, we got Fetty Wap. We're not going band for band on fucking rappers. And I'm pulling Fetty Wap out of the bag. That's probably the last guy I'm pulling. That's probably the last dude I'm pulling. Just being like, yeah, you remember Fetty Wap? Yo, you remember Nasty Freestyle too? You remember that shit? Just start pulling like, you remember Whip? Nay, you remember that shit? Even being ironic,
watch me whip.
Fetty Wap at his peak had the entire world in the palm of his hand. Bro, I know you remember
1738 was big. Bro, another one that was big. I don't even remember his name. I gotta look up the song. You remember Designer Panda? That was big. Where he'd go, Panda, 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 panda. That was huge. Half the song. I'm 30 seconds in and he's still going, Panda. Panda. That song sucks too. that song sucks too. You look back at it and you're like, wow, this was actually fucking really bad. Yo, I would rather pull out like 6ix9ine for like band for rappers than Fetty Wap. Take. Name another song by Fetty Wap that you listened to.
1938 and I got this sewed up. And he had other
that is another one.
Hits like My Way, RGF Island, and Again. Fetty Wap was really the king of writing hooks. I don't want to sound like too much of an old head, but modern pop music to me sounds like it's lacking creativity. Everyone kind of sounds the same and is trying to hop on trends, and when someone new does come with an original sound, it's shocking. I miss the days when upcoming artists like Travis Scott, Tyler the Creator, and Frank Ocean were experimenting and pushing boundaries of their genre.
Well, I think people still experiment and push boundaries today, but it's similar to where things are discovered and now there's not much else to do outside of reformat ideas that already exist. The early 2000s and the late early 2010s, it was easier to get big into music because making beats was different, creating different lyrics and different styles was available. But at some point, you run out of genres of music and styles that you can fall into. Yeet is like, yeah, one of his own kind. I don't really like Yeet's music, personally. I think it's just heavy beats. Honestly, Yeet's music, in my mind, is just like a background guy kind of singing in the corner with like a heavy set DJ just playing forefront. Like, that's what Yeet's very like. It'll be like, dum, 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 and he'll be like, and it's like you can't even hear him. He's fucking far as shit. Like, it sounds like the beat was created in studio and then the audio recording was like filmed on like a fucking Samsung Galaxy. Like, that's what I feel when I listen to Yeet. But like, anyways, yeah, like Tyler the Creator and all these guys were like, you know, kind of paving their own way to their own genre of music. They still do their own thing and obviously they do well. But when there's, 10 types of rap music and hip hop styles that are available, and then you pave way to 5-10 more, it's harder to expand beyond that. Like, it's like diminishing returns almost, where humans are only able to do so much. You're not like, yeah, are there going to be in the next 5, 10, 20 years crazy new music that drops? For sure. Right, and there's even new genres that are getting popular. Like, funk music didn't exist, then. Like, at to the capacity it did now. Like, there was still, like, rave music and other genres. But like Brazilian funk and all these other genres, like they're new. But that's because of modern technology as well and the adaptation of you being able to create beats quicker. But there's like outside of that, you have to wait a lot of the time either for somebody crazy to come around or like new technology. Because at some point it's like there's only so much that you're able to talk about. You creatively and just like musically.
And while these guys are still at the top of their game, the new artists to take their place just don't do it for me. I still remember I was in 8th grade when Igor dropped, and I was blown away. It was equal parts soul, pop, and
nice haircut. It looks fucking bad. Stop. Don't mention it. I'm trying to fucking fix it. It just looks bad. I didn't do it today. But still. All right, lock in.
Hip-hop. There was a complete narrative through the entire album. The music videos were beautiful.
What's the difference between funk and funk music? Oh, funk music is more hip-hop. Funk music, PHONK, is like dun 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 dun. Like this one. This is Brazilian funk. Or you could, it's kind of like rave music, but it's only on the beat drop the entire time. It's honestly like, what is it, like jabber? What is it called? What is it called where like, it's like a UK type of, like jump style, almost. Like heavy beats, really loud, massive bass. Just like, doom, 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 the whole time. I love it. I think it's fire, but it's hard to, like, differentiate yourself. Like, I know Play a Funk. He makes a lot of good funk songs, and my outro is one of his songs that he lets me use. Play a Funk, stream Play a Funk on Spotify. Anyways, he makes funk music, and even he is kind of branching out somewhat, like, still in the funk genre, but slightly out of it, where it's like, people run shit into the ground in that genre. Where, like, if you have a popular Brazilian funk song, they will, like, reformat it, slow reverb, faster pace, they'll change some beats up, and just release, like, 7 songs that are almost identical until it, like, dies. And then they'll just transfer to something else. Which is honestly, like, similar to what, like, all artists do now. Where if something's a hit, they'll just kind of like reformat it and just do the same thing over and over again.
Beautiful. It was creativity at its peak. The greatest thing about this era of music was that there was something for everyone. There were plenty of pop radio hits, hip-hop was going through its second prime, new wave R&B was on the rise, and artists were starting to mature and find their own sound. I couldn't be happier with the music Gen Z grew up with, and the same goes for video games. If there's one video game that would define our generation, it's obviously Minecraft.
Yeah, I think Minecraft, what defines Gen Z? Minecraft, I think Roblox defines Gen Alpha more, personally. I think Minecraft, Fortnite, and then, like, not even COD. I think COD's a millennial thing. Today, COD is played by Gen Zers mainly, but, like, Call of Duty was big for millennials. Like, when you were a squeaker, if you're my age, like, not, if you're, like, 15, when you were a squeaker, that was, like, fucking, like, 7 years ago. I'm talking when you were, like, if you were, like, 8 years old in, like, 2010, 2011, the guys you were playing with that were calling you the N-word in COD lobbies are 36 with kids now, right? Like, those are millennials. The millennials were the ones that were screaming at you. Like, COD is a millennial game. That's not a Gen Zer game. Gen Zer games like Minecraft, maybe Roblox, but I feel like Roblox is, like, mainly Gen Alpha now. Fortnite. What else? What's, like, a game-defining, like, or, like, a generation-defining game? RuneScape? That's way older, dude. RuneScape might be, like, Gen X. GTA 5. I think GTA 5. But GTA 5 is so big that it doesn't really, like, grasp just Gen Z. It's like everyone. Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, that's fair. Horror. Very niche, though.
Minecraft. I really don't know what to say about Minecraft that hasn't already been.
I think anyone that's ever played video games finds Minecraft nostalgic. I think that's the reason that, or any Gen Zer, the reason Minecraft defines Gen Z is because if you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, did you play video games when you were a kid? And then I turn on fucking this, you probably go, like, 1,000-yard stare shit. Yeah, like, you start freaking out. You're like, oh my god, I know this song. Or just, like, any of them, for that matter.
Said, I still fondly remember the days of
oh my god, being uncreative and building houses out of, like, gold and diamond blocks. Minecraft PE was the shit, man.
Hopping in worlds with my friends and building roller coasters, mansions, and having full...
I used to go on Creative World on my grandpa's computer. This was probably in, like, 2013. So I was like 11 or 12. Probably 11. I might have been 10. I would go on my grandpa's computer and I would play Minecraft and I would go in creative and I would just place a whole pyramid of TNT. Like, I'm talking I would spend like 20 minutes. I didn't know how to do commands with like the wood axe and shit. So I would just place like thousands of blocks of TNT and then I would record it on like whatever I had at that time. I think it was like an iPad mini, and I would light it on fire and I would record it. And I would be like, and I remember I would watch them back and be like, this is awesome. Or I would create there, and then when I got older, I would make like complex. This is actually when I got pretty good at Minecraft. I would create like complex fireworks shows out of redstone. I don't remember how to do it anymore. But I remember I used to watch, like, tutorials, and I would go in creative and, like, actually create, like, I would craft, like, specific fireworks, make it times at night, and then, like, create, like, a whole show. I don't have the videos anymore. I wish I did.
Scale battles. It was the perfect escape. Simple yet dense with content. Complete freedom.
What is it called? Oh my God, what's that art called? What is this called? I used to have a world where I did this, too. That was on the Xbox, though. Me and my friends had a creative world where we would do pixel art. I remember I made Flappy Bird. I did some easy ones. I did some hard ones like skeletons and shit.
With content. Complete freedom. The same goes for Minecraft's equally popular but wilder little brother, Roblox. There was really some...
I love the modern day Roblox now. I think Roblox now is so cool because you could dev any game. I think then, like, you remember when Roblox was just a dupe of Minecraft? Like, way back. I used to play it on my school computer because they didn't have Minecraft, but they had Roblox, and it was just a bad Minecraft. Like, you would launch the game. I don't even know if they had servers. I think you would just load in, and it was just like a shitty Minecraft.
Something for everyone.
No? Bro, I gotta look that up. I remember I used to, like, build, like, wooden Roblox... Old Roblox off-brand Minecraft. Bro, I gotta look that shit up. How do I, like, what could I search to find that? Old Roblox game. Bro, I'm talking, like, way old. Like, this is probably when I was, like, 8. Like, this is probably, like, 2010, 2009. You were talking about Castle Miner Z? Is that what it is? No, I never played that. I know what that is, though. Bro, I don't know. I remember I played an off-brand Roblox. Or it was Roblox, but it was just bad.
One in Roblox. Sports games, fashion games, tycoon games, mystery games. There was so much content and room for creativity and fun for a young mind. And I think we can all agree that sports games peaked during...
No! You know the fucking console for Gen Z is the Wii. The Gen Z console's the Wii. Undisputed. Just because I saw a Nintendo, I'm like, oh yeah, the Wii. Because no Gen Alpha kid's gonna play on the fucking Wii. Or Xbox 360. I think Wii, PS3, Xbox 360. Those three. Not PS2. PS2's too old. PS2's too old. I think those three.
Our childhood. 2K16 is probably my most played game of all time. It really is the perfect basketball game. And bro, how can we forget those old FIFA soundtracks? I need to know now. Unfortunately, these days, sports games...
Bro, old FIFA Bro, I was saying this, top 50 games all the time, I had FIFA 17.
Games have been watered down to over-monetized, recycled slop held hostage by corporate overlords. But I still remember the days of try-harding on my park and having intense battles with my brother on Madden. We
FIFA Street
even witnessed mobile games like Clash of Clans and Clash Royale.
Bro, unmatched. Early 2010s Clash of Clans. Bro, when my uncle showed me Clash of Clans for the first time, I was fucking losing that shit. I used to grind the fuck out of that game. Is this it? No, this isn't it. Clash of Clans theme song. What's the theme song for Clash of Clans? Is this it? What the fuck is this? Where's the audio soundtrack for fucking Clash of Clans? The intro. Clash of Clans song. This. You be sitting there, bro, with the little elixir noises. Aha! Aha! Dude, the audio, and it was just so fun. It was just that's why Clash of Clans was in my top 50 games of all time. It's just such a good game.
Over the zeitgeist of our generation.
None of y'all remember Heyday? Yeah, the fuck I do, bitch. I played every goddamn Supercell game that's ever come out. I remember fucking Heyday. Yeah, I remember Heyday. I used to fucking farm wheat. I remember I used to watch TV and farm wheat all day, bitch. I used to be raising my cows, organizing my farm, trading the fucking little boat guy for fucking milk.
And of course, who
Boom Beach? Yeah, rip Boom Beach. That shit fell off.
can forget
I played Boom Beach too.
Flappy Bird? When it comes to Gen Z, I feel like I have to talk about books, and really one specific book series.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I don't think there's ever been or ever will be another book series like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Much like the cartoons we grew up watching, this book series had a profound
It's not pre-watch. What else would it be? Hunger Games?
impact on the culture and humor of Gen Z. While most children's books try to teach good values like honesty and hard work, Jeff Kinney throws all of that out of the window. Greg Heffley
Bro, Brooke always tries to get me to watch the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, and I tell her every time, I'm like, these suck now. You're blinded by nostalgia. I don't want to watch a movie where the guy goes, the cheese touch. The cheese touch. It's fucking cringy now. It was funny when you were 10.
is cynical, self-serving, opportunistic, lies, cheats, and always tries to find a shortcut.
Roderick Rules is still peak. Is that the second one?
Basically, Greg Heffley is the most honest children's book character we've ever seen. I think because Gen Z has always been hyper-aware, we reject overly righteous characters because we know they don't exist in real life. The people around us operate like Greg, and in many ways, so do we. He was a hilariously flawed character that rarely learned his lesson, and we couldn't get enough. Much like
Dude, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was one of the only books I wanted to read when I was a kid. I remember like laying in bed reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid, being like hype to read it. And I just feel like they need to let you pick more books now. I feel like when you get assigned books, you hate it when you're able to like pick them and it's like, oh, I gotta read Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It was awesome.
the cartoons we grew up watching, Jeff Kinney gave us the respect of not talking down to us. The magic of those first 6 books will forever hold a special place in my heart. And clearly I'm not the only one, with Diary of the Wimpy Kid still being relevant in meme culture till this day. There's an entire subculture of Diary of the Wimpy Kid fanfictions that range from extreme
Diary of an Empty Man. Diary of a Wimpy Kid Death Note. I've never once considered finding that notebook and gaining the power of that notebook and gaining this power of misfortune. In fact, it's made me happier than I've ever been.
extremely hilarious to downright depressing. And from time to time, I still read through this book series because it has a distinct comfort and charm that I can't.
I am calling Cap. I am calling Cap. Who is this? Rowdy? You are not rereading the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books.
Find anywhere else. If we're gonna talk about Gen Z media, then it's only right that we talk about Gen Z social media. While short form apps like Vine and TikTok have been huge during our childhood, culturally nothing really comes close to YouTube. I'm genuinely
Yeah, YouTube for sure.
glad.
And creator-wise, Markiplier and Minecraft YouTubers. Markiplier is like a part of the childhood, dude. Vomit alert. Oh, I might
I
not
got
be
to
able
witness
show
the
this.
old days of YouTube. The days of
Yeah. LA Beast. LA Beast here. Today I'm gonna be chugging a gallon of rotten milk. Ugh, and he just fucking vomits into his his washing machine. That was the best.
the FNAF Let's
Yeah, Vanoss Gaming.
Plays OG phase, back when H3H3 was making hilarious commentary videos.
What phase members did you guys watch? I feel like that's like a Pokemon trading card game. I used to watch Rain, Jev, Adapt, and maybe Tico, like a little bit, but those 3. Jev, Adapt, Rain. Those were the guys I watched, and that was it. Rice Gum? Was Rice Gum ever in phase?
Casey Neistat's daily vlog, the rise of animation channels. There was so much diverse content. But of all the great channels we grew up with, for me, one of them stands above the rest as the greatest YouTuber of all time.
Oh my god, when they did Parkours, I can't say his name. Ryan Higa. Not gonna say his username though.
A man who defined the humor for a generation of children.
Yo, what's up? My name is Ardizzle for Shizzle my nizzle off the hizzle.
Ryan Higa. It's really hard for me to put into words how much Ryan Higa's videos mean to me. He was literally the first YouTuber I ever watched. For the longest time, I thought YouTube...
Dude, and his shit was so... I remember loving the parkour videos. And it was him in his 20s with a bunch of his friends just going, all right, so I'm gonna do a backflip off this monkey bar, and then I'm gonna fucking triple jump off these bouncy balls onto this suitcase, and then I'm gonna swing around and land and do the landing. And they would just play horse with parkour. And it was fun. It was fun to watch, but it was like low effort content.
YouTube was just a place for music videos until one day my friend showed me Rustin Heber. It was an eye-opening moment. He was edgy, but also genuinely funny and made clever social commentary. I still distinctly remember the days in middle school of watching Dear Ryans on the bus ride home. He was truly one of the first personal brands on YouTube, and I think we all need to thank him for paving the way. So Ryan, I think there's only one thing left to say. And follow me on Instagram. I'm posting
That was a good fucking video, dude. I love that. 2013, 2019, probably the best year I've ever experienced as a kid. I feel like 2019 is a bit late. I feel like 2013 to like 2018, 2017, 2019, like that was, I mean, that was a long time ago. But 2019 was more modern day. 2019 is still respectable. Yeah, like pre-COVID era. Ninjago, Lego Ninjago. My Little Pony. We all lived the same childhood. I didn't realize 1738 was a Fetty Wap song until you mentioned it. Some of my classmates kept repeating that line over and over. Life might never be the same again. Bro, I hate when people are like bumming about that shit. Be happy you fucking lived in that era and make fucking new memories now. People that long for the past so much, it's just like, dude, you're never gonna fucking live. Dude, it was just so good in that era. Yeah, respect it. Be like, oh, that was awesome. Now let me have more fun. Because look, yeah, that shit was nostalgic. Right now is going to be nostalgic 10 years from now. Like, it's the same shit. That's just how nostalgia works. Like, if you, right now, regardless of how old you are, you could be 15, you could be 25, you could be 30. 10 years from now, you're going to be like, oh, God, remember 2025? Remember 2025? Oh, those were the days. That's what people say. So this is the same shit. Until you're like 50 years old, everything becomes nostalgic. At some point. Yeah, remember Joe Bart? No. Damn, I'm here 30? No, What's actually happening in North Korea? There's still a long-ass fucking video. But I really want to watch it because I was hyped when Johnny Harris said he was making a video about North Korea. He's like obsessed with maps, and he gives a lot of like info about individual areas based on maps, so I think it'll be cool.
If you point
I fucking hate when North Korea propaganda shows up on my For You page showing that stupid fucking building. This fucking building is empty. No one's in it. It's like a big-ass building in North Korea, and they have like lights, and it's like a whole LED thing that they can fucking make it like look amazing. No one lives in it. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be a hotel. It's just barren on the inside. It's hollow.
So if you point a camera at the Earth 600 kilometers above the surface, it's pretty mesmerizing. But point it at the Korean Peninsula and you'll see this. South Korea is a...
Dude, that's crazy. I love looking at light maps of the U.S.
Point it at the Korean Peninsula and you'll see this. South Korea is a
yeah, they have one big city and a few dots.
But North Korea is almost totally...
Like, that's wild. It's 2025, and, like, they have one big city. Like, obviously, there's a lot of underdeveloped countries, but it's, like, that's because their country as a whole is struggling versus, like, them inhibiting their people purposefully.
You've got this little point here for Pyongyang, the capital, but it's mostly a void.
Do you think people know about you in North Korea? I don't think people in North Korea know about Twitch or YouTube. So, no. I don't think the average North Korean person could name 5 Americans.
Black Void tells a story of how the 25 million people live in this secretive kingdom of North Korea. But as the sun rises, we get to fill in the details. We get to see more. We get to see cities designed to control. We get to see an unfathomable amount of military installations, many of them burrowed into mountains, where they protect nuclear weapons, where the over 1 million soldiers endlessly prepare for war.
There's over 10,000 manned military installations. So
I never understand why North Korea ramps up their manned military so heavily. Like, I get that it's to, like, flex your power, and that's how, like, war used to be fought. But in modern times, wars are won with money and technology, not people. Like, having 1 million soldiers isn't winning you a war in modern day. It's, do you have enough money with enough trained individual people and drones and, like, experienced fighter pilots? Like, infantry is not winning wars in modern times comparable to, like, artillery, nukes, missiles, drones, tanks, jets, subs. Like, that's what's winning a war. Not, like, you rushing a front with 1 million. Like, it's not D-Day anymore.
Bases, naval sites, all that squeezed into Pennsylvania.
We see factories.
Infantries keep rebellions down. Oh, I think heavily... I think North Korea's military presence is disguised towards its people as a means of protecting their nation, when also it's heavily there to control its own people. Because the military has such a high, presence, they can't have a rebellion. They can't have a civil war.
Lots of factories. We see these little islands of dense housing, which are the homes of the workers.
But it's also like, I don't want to say it's like Stockholm Syndrome, but like, if all of the North Korean people, like, not obviously high government officials, like, you would need some of them to come in, but like, the people at the top, it's not even just like Kim Jong-un and his sister that are like keeping it together. The reason North Korea doesn't fold is because the people that are under Kim Jong-un and his sister abide by them, and because they're benefiting as well. It's like the top 3 levels of people in North Korea benefit, and they control everybody below. But if you get, like, one of those stages to fold, you could just turn on Kim Jong-un. Like, you could just overthrow his government.
Who are assigned here.
It's not easy, and it probably will never happen, but... Oh, yeah, they have all these fake fucking cities, too, on the borders of South Korea.
Barriers, lots of barriers. Barriers meant to keep people in. And not just on the borders with neighbors, but also within the country itself. Checkpoints and barriers between provinces. I've been looking at every inch of North Korea because I want to understand how it actually works. I want to understand how the all-powerful leaders have designed this place and why. And I've been stumbling upon stuff that I never thought I'd see in North Korea. Ski resorts, an international children's camp, lots and lots of water slides, markets where people buy and sell things, schools and fields, fruit factories, coal shipments, limestone mines, burial grounds.
Whenever I hear the word farm in North Korea, I just think of that one video where Kim Jong-un's like just feeling a bunch of like corn, and he's doing that like squat where like people smoke cigarettes, but he's just like holding leaves, and he's like he knows anything about crops.
Camps in the cities and the mountains. Lots of strange-looking buildings, stadiums and tracks, and sports fields, empty roads and empty squares, Christian churches, a turtle-shaped building, apartment blocks where rich people live. I mean, you stumble upon some pretty wild stuff when you just scour every inch of the satellite map. I've also been talking to experts who spend their time looking at the map of North Korea, analyzing it day by day for decades. Their data has been really useful in all of this, and honestly, I'm starting to see North Korea in a totally different way. I think...
Do you have ops in Korea? No. I love learning about North Korea because it's like shrouded in mystery, but it's also just like I feel bad for the North Korean people. Like they're literally manipulated for the benefit of like millions of people are being like manipulated and having their lives effectively ruined for the benefit of like a select few, like one man, but also like the people that are directly below him.
Exposed to a very specific version of this country. And that doesn't mean it's an inaccurate version, but it's just one version. Today I want to show you a deeper version. Now the map can't tell us everything, but I'm seeing how it can fill in the blanks in my knowledge of how this country actually works, broadening my perspective on this most secretive kingdom in our world. So buckle up and let's get ready to look at this map.
Whenever I see pictures of North Korea or videos, is it like always cold there? I know they have beaches in summers and stuff, but like climate-wise, everything always looks barren and dead.
I mean, first things first, North Korea is a beautiful country.
North Korea is usually viewed as, this hellscape of a place, but it's actually really beautiful. Lots of mountains and hills and rare animals and everything.
It's home to this huge mountain range. Among these rugged mountains, you've got this volcano,
I think about that all the time. The other day, I was watching a video about, like, the mountains of China, and it was, like, showing a monkey, and I was like, do you think that monkey knows he lives in China? It's fucking stupid. They don't think about that, though. They're, like, obviously they don't think about that. Like, the country borders only exist for humans. No shit. Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, like, all of our maps and everything that we draw, like, just remove those borders. That doesn't exist for any animal outside of us. Like, we're the only people that give a fuck about that. Like, what? Oh, this is my land versus your land. A monkey's just trying to fucking survive, man. He don't give a shit if he lives in Mongolia, China, wherever he is. It's fucking, I'm just trying to not die. Yeah, it's all political.
A sacred spot for North Koreans. It's where their legends say their great leader Kim Jong-il was born. Incidentally, it's right on this border, actually. Half of Mount Paektu is on the Chinese side. China, North Korea. North Korea can get really cold and snowy.
So weird they split that there. Why don't they just give it to one side or the other? Why do they both own half of the fucking lake?
It's home to between 20 and 30 million people. It's about half as many as live in South Korea. And it was the war in the 1950s that created these two Koreas, and in the process turned what is now North Korea into dust.
I think what's fascinating, too, is if North Korea stays the way that it is now, those two countries will separate language-wise so drastically that they'll be unable to communicate with each other. Like, they're already, obviously, it's like linguistically, you just have slang, like even in between Spanish countries. You have, people that are in Ecuador versus Argentina, and there's just like conversational Spanish exists in different realms. But with them, it's just way different.
Today, North Korea is built around a few major cities. Here's the 10 most populous. Some have ports, some are up on the border with China, and then there's this river city of Pyongyang. This is the capital. A lot of this had to be redesigned from scratch because the country was destroyed in the Korean War. The country itself is designed in line with this North Korean communist ideology of a human body. The great leader is the brain, and then the members of his single party.
Well, and they can't you could get thrown into a camp for being religious. Like, if you get caught with a Bible, it gets confiscated and you get thrown. The only people you're allowed to praise, like, in an idol sense, or somebody is higher than yourself, is Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un or the leaders of that family, like Kim Jong-un, Kim Il-sung, like you can talk heavily and praise them as if they were gods, but just them. Like nobody, you can't do that with Jesus or Allah or God, or you can't. Any god that exists outside of them is no.
Government represents the nervous system that connects his will to the masses. The masses are the bones and the muscle, the ones who carry out the work of building this country. The country is supposed to act as one, serving the will of the brain, the great leader. And what I'm seeing is that this kind of body configuration allows them to do some pretty unique things. First and foremost, military. Most countries spend between 1% and 4% of their GDP on military.
Well, they're trying to get that higher. We spend a large percentage of our GDP on the military because the United States effectively has full reign over NATO currently, and that's why the US's opinion in what they want to do within NATO, most European countries just have to agree because the U.S. has such a big military, European countries have been able to cut back on military spending drastically and increase that on public spending within their own people, which is why Europeans are able to have better access to public free healthcare and all these other things. And that's why Trump is trying to make them spend more money. He wants them to spend 5%. They all signed it outside of Spain, if you've been keeping up with politics, where they have to spend 5% of their global GDP on their military to strengthen their own barriers. And that, I don't support Trump. I get him doing that. But he's not doing that so we can cut back on our own spending. He's spending more money. The thing that doesn't make sense, I'm not trying to get into a shitting on Trump thing. I think that we want to have a lot of the benefits that European countries have for our own people. And I thought that when he was initially going to get these countries to spend more money on their own military, it was so we could take a step back and they could rely on themselves more heavily. But we're still ramping up our own military spending instead of cutting it back. We're just making other European countries spend more. It would make a lot more sense if we were like, hey, Germany, France, Italy, all these other countries, you got to spend 5%. We're going to cut back so we can save more money on our people. But we're not. We're just spending more and making them spend more, which is just confusing.
North Korea spends like between 20 and 25% of their GDP on their military. And we've got the data on what that looks like. Whoa, okay, settle down, big boy. Oh, God. Look at this. Oh my lord, look at this. I don't think I've ever seen so
I don't know what I'm looking at.
many yellow push pins.
Oh, these are all military posts? I thought I was looking at like cities.
Boy, oh God. Look at this. Oh my lord. Look.
Dude, they're like every fucking mile.
Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen so many yellow push pins in my life. It kind of reminds me of that map of like saunas in Finland. Places like a fortress. You can see that a lot of this is concentrated down here on their southern border. This is the DMZ. It's actually a 4-kilometer thick border. And technically within this 4 kilometers, there's supposed to be no military stuff. That is, if you don't count the thousands of landmines that are there left over from the Korean War and that North Korea continues to plant. But in terms of weapons, most of it is right here on the border of the DMZ, where North Korea has 900 artillery guns that are aimed right at Seoul, South Korea. In the event of a conflict, these guns could fire 10,000 rounds a minute at South Korea, which would make good on their promise to turn South Korea into a sea of fire, which they often make towards their southerly neighbor. Now, a reminder, it's not just North Korea. If we were mapping American or South Korean military assets, you'd see a lot of those too on the southern side, down here. But we are looking at North Korea right now.
I just can't imagine being like, obviously in Kim Jong-un's mind, he's like the leader of North Korea and he like thinks he's, so highly of himself. He's very narcissistic. But if you're like a military general under Kim Jong-un, obviously you want to keep that position because it aids you. And so you have that selfish mindset in that sense. But are you ever sitting there as like, do you think his military generals are like, yeah, this is a good idea to have all of our infantry and all of our artillery pointed at Seoul? Like, dude, if they bomb Seoul, their country's getting fucking wiped off the map. If they were to ever bomb Seoul, South Korea, North Korea's fucked. Fucked. Yeah, they kill South Korea. Now Korea in general is just uninhabitable.
You got underground bunkers, missile launch sites, nuclear reactors, airstrips, naval bases.
North Korea has nukes. Yeah, and so do a lot of other countries, and bigger ones.
So you've got the thousands of landmines, and of course, this little pavilion where soldiers from both sides stand meters apart. This is where the countries have their diplomatic talks. You've got 1,000 observation posts, 300 checkpoints and roadblocks, tons of military facilities that support the soldiers here, and then of course tunnels.
Bro, and this is what's so fucking... I'm gonna sound like an idiot right now. And I know this is stupid. I feel like, when you're like, I could get to that person. I feel like if I knew how to speak to Kim Jong-un, I knew Korean, I feel like I could be like, come on, man. Because I know about his life. Like, I know how he grew up, and he had a very Western mindset initially, and he was less opposed to being like closed off when he was a kid, because he learned school, like he went to school in Switzerland or wherever he fucking went to school. I'd be like, bro, you're getting fried. Now I feel like I'd be like, come on, man. This is a little crazy, right? Like, what do you think? I'd be like, bro, come on, they're praising you. You've made your people think you're a god. What's that about? Like, you don't think you would be able to like reach him? He's too far gone. He has to be too far gone. So far gone. Like, he would take that as offensive. He would be like, fuck you. Like, it would be angry. Kimmy, this isn't you. I don't know. I feel like, dude, under every person, there is like, no matter how crazy, I think there are people that are just truly evil. But, like, I think the majority of individuals, even that have done bad things, you can reach them. there's a core inside of them that's, like, not bad. And you have to get to that. Like, but I think his is just, like, miles deep. Like, you're never reaching that. You would have to, like, appeal to when he was a child and be like, dude, like, think back to when you were, like, 7. Like, you were a normal kid, effectively.
Man, you're going to see a lot of underground stuff here. North Korea is covered with these.
The painter, he's evil. Is there a scenario where, if you're asking me if Adolf Hitler, no, Adolf Hitler was evil as fuck. I think there is a multiverse world where he didn't become a genocidal dictator, because at the end of the day, a kid's a kid, right? I think there are people that have mental imbalances, but I think everything went wrong in his life and his own mind and his own contemplation to where he became a terrible person and one of the worst people that have ever existed. But I think there's a world where that man grew up and wasn't a genocidal dictator. I think that scenario mixed with, obviously self-contemplation. Same thing with, like, people that are serial killers. Like, they have those imbalances in their brains, but there are people that are probably predisposed to be serial killers that don't end up becoming them.
This country was basically flattened. Almost every building was turned to dust by American bombs. So a huge part of the North Korean psyche is this paranoid fear of air power. They designed their defense strategy to be ready for if that ever happens again. So you have a lot of these fortified bases and tunnels. Some of them are...
I love this video right now, Chad. I love talking about this. I'm sorry. We're going to be here for a while.
...for weapons storage. And some of them are for invasion. Like down here on the DMZ, they secretly dug a bunch of tunnels that are kilometers long that go under the DMZ. This would allow them to move troops into South Korea very quickly. I actually went into one of these tunnels that had been discovered by South Korea. But these tunnels also have another purpose. And in fact, the military itself, a big portion of it, is dedicated to protecting one family. You'll see this in the capital. This is the barracks that houses some of the 100,000 bodyguards meant to protect the Kim family. This hill is like a giant...
100,000 bodyguards? He has 100,000 bodyguards. What do they fucking come in and out of rotation? Even the Kim family. The Kim family can't be that big.
Bunker. It's home to a bunch of military installations, some of them deep underground, a lot of them connected through tunnels. And this is...
Do you think his wife loves him? Actual question. Because he's married to, like, a famous Korean singer or something. I don't know. I feel like that's also, like, a trade-off relationship. Like, she gets the benefits of being with him, and I also think it's like, if she said no... Like, do you think they have regular conversation? I think about this stuff all the time. Like, Kim Jong-un exists in the world we're in right now. He's probably asleep because Korea time zone is way different. But, like, do you think they just sit at dinner and, like, talk about, like, shows or something? Because they don't, I don't know, or, like, me and Brooke just talk. Like, there's times where me and Brooke will hang out and we're just talking for, like, an hour, 2 hours. Do you think they just talk? But about what? Like, I just, there's no way they have regular people conversations. There's no way. In the position, his life is so fucking weird that it's like, he's not sitting there just like, so yeah, we're probably going to go on a hike. I'm really excited. I want to go skiing this weekend. No. Or even that, like, me and Brooke will just talk about, like, the universe or people or, like, shows, our interests. Their day. I think it's all just, like, very surface level bullshit. Like, when you're at, like, a family dinner and it's, like, silent and you're, like, you hear the fork and knife cutting and it's like, so, no, this steak's really good. Like, small talk. I think that's all it is.
Now look at their missile sites. Missiles, rockets, nuclear weapons are a big deal for this regime, and especially the most recent leader, who, as you can see from this graph, has really ramped up the testing of all of this. These missiles have all kinds of different ranges, but the longest ones can go 12,000 kilometers away. I mean, that puts a lot of the world in range, including the United States. Many of those are up here in these mountain bases, where they store these missiles and where they can launch them. But lately, they've also been trying to send up non-weapons into space.
Oh, they're trying to make their own like space station.
This launch pad is where over the last couple of years they've tried to put satellites up into space.
It's not even like you know how like the wealth gap is getting worse in the United States? I think that's like in the wealth and like intelligence gap, right? Between the lowest and the highest. That's like a proven thing. It's getting worse. Right? Not only in like I don't think they're necessarily correlated where it's like intelligence and income, but like the dumbest people in your class and the smartest people in your class are further apart than they've ever been. I think in North Korea, it's like because the majority of North Koreans probably aren't receiving great education. And then there's like a few select 2% of people that are like, yeah, you're going to be an astronaut. And you come from a family of farmers.
Satellite in orbit. There's only about 11 or 12 countries around the world that have ever put a satellite in orbit.
The military is core to keeping the Kims in power, which is why they often show it off. I love this video from The Guardian.
I do watch their marching videos.
They know when one of these things is going to happen because there's like a replica of the Kim Il-sung Square, the big central square, where all of these soldiers get together and practice. And so whenever they see activity in that practice square, they know that they're getting ready for one of these. So the military is a very important part of keeping the Kims in power. It's used as propaganda, it's used as actual defense, and it's often used to actually like build stuff. And you've got one of the largest militaries in the world, 1 million plus active duty. They're able to command that to do all sorts of projects, including construction projects, which we're gonna look at. One thing you'll see a lot of
They use their military to build things
in North Korea is fences, and not to necessarily keep people from coming in, but more so to keep people from going out.
Which is fucking crazy. Crazy. And I know that like I hate, you know, piggyback. I don't like giving like Trump credit. But one of the things that he said, which is like true to a degree, if your country has a lot of people coming to it, that means your country's at least doing okay. If you have to make a fence to stop people from leaving, that's a problem. And you're trying to get people to fuck it. Hey, we're going to build this fence because we don't want you to go. What?
They've spent years building a fence around the entire perimeter of the country.
Yeah, so you can't run away, which is fucking nuts.
At least 1,400 kilometers.
Like, that's why I don't think they're brainwashed. I don't think the average North Korean is brainwashed. I think they abide by the rules of, like, yeah, America's bad, everything else sucks, North Korea's awesome, because if they don't, they'll be in trouble. I think it's like they have to abide by the leader because it's like, if you don't play by the rules, you're fucked. They know, like, I'm not allowed to leave.
Bordering China alone. Here's all the security outposts. I mean, this fencing goes
Susie
through
said, I want to give somebody from North Korea a warhead sour candy.
All kinds of terrain, including dug into the beach. And a lot of this was built recently, as more and more people have been trying to escape. And then within the country itself, there are barriers that control people's movement. The country has checkpoints at the province borders to make sure people aren't moving around without permission. So yeah, a lot of people can't get out of North Korea, but some can. In fact, there's a whole network of IT professionals, North Korean like engineers, who interview for Western tech jobs, get hired, and then pass money and information back to the North Korean regime, all without their employer knowing it.
Why would any employer hire a North Korean citizen then?
Okay, I'm about to try to conduct a job interview for the first time
with a North Korean? No.
In my life. I reached out to David Wensky, a senior software engineer, and he responded to me 3 hours after I reached out, but I'm not actually hiring
Oh, that's a fucking fake name.
anybody. And I don't think David Wensky is actually who he says he is.
This is a big rabbit hole that
David Wensky
is very juicy.
I don't think anybody is named David Wensky in North Korea.
And my colleague Christoph went down that rabbit hole in a new video that's live right now over on his channel. His show is called Tunnel Vision. It is
I need to fucking see that.
very good. And this story about IT espionage and money funneling back to North Korea is incredibly wild, how deep Christoph was able to get. So you should go check that out. The link is in the description. Okay, so a lot of this stuff probably isn't that surprising to you. This is the kind of stuff we see on the news, the stuff that gets covered a lot, the military, the missiles, the control. But now I want to get to the part of this country that really led me to this video in the first place, which is the stuff that we don't see very often, to try to expand my understanding of what it is like to live in North Korea. What is life like in these cities, out here in the rural areas? How do they make stuff? Where do they get their food? Entertainment, community. Turns out that between defector testimony, state news, and the satellite map, you can actually learn a lot about this stuff. A lot of North Korea's cities were designed from scratch after the city was turned into rubble because of the Korean War. And because of that, they have very unique design that is meant to fulfill a certain objective that is in line with North Korean ideals of controlling people, unifying people.
I always find it fascinating that their roads and I understand their sidewalks being big because the majority of them don't have cars. But they'll have like 8-lane highways, 8-lane roads. And maybe it's for military vehicles if they ever need the space. I would get that. But it's like they have no cars on the roads ever.
People, and continuously celebrating their leaders and the struggle of their continuous revolution. So, many of us have seen the capital, we'll get to that, but I want to look at these other cities. A lot of North Korean cities are built around a big central square, like this. A lot of them have these circles that look like they're hand-drawn. The square is kind of the middle of the city, and then you have these massive boulevards that kind of frame out the city.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. That's like fucking 4 lanes. You have like 6 cars in the fucking whole city.
Notice in a lot of these cities that these boulevards are pretty empty. You see a lot more buses than you see private cars. Oh, and you see a mosque every once in a while. I've tried to get to the bottom of what...
That ain't a mosque. You're not allowed to fucking worship there.
What the deal is with these mosques. North Korea has a couple of these churches or mosques that are mostly there for optics, from what I can tell. More on that in a little bit. So yeah, you've got these empty boulevards, lots of empty squares that lead to these kind of grand spaces. Now, these spaces are often punctuated with some kind of monument. Here's one. Here we go, Central Square. I mean, we can go back in time too and sort of look at the historical imagery. Huge boulevards, often very empty. Oh, boom, look, someone's visiting. So when you see people, you often see them in huge groups like this. At least that's what I've noticed from above. When there's people, there's a lot of them and they're all very close. But oftentimes this stuff is empty. Oh, look, here's a bunch of people lined up in near perfect geometry on this square. Every major city has a stadium. Now, some of these are in kind of bad shape, but some are really nice.
You think they play like fucking... They have a soccer pitch. You think they play fucking soccer there?
Sports is a big deal in North Korea.
Some of the sports that are popular in North Korea, they do very well.
I know they run track. I know they do a lot of running. A lot of marathons.
So they're definitely, in some areas, sort of hitting above their weight, I think.
Yeah.
Though defectors do report that sometimes a stadium like this one in particular has been used for public executions or public shamings. Big part of the control regime.
There's no way they do public executions in 2025, man. Fuck. Like, that's like some medieval age shit. They're bringing people out to the fucking football pitch in the middle of the track and hanging them.
In North Korea is to publicly punish to keep people in line. Okay, and then recently the government declared that every city needs to have one of these.
Children traffic park?
Check this out. There are around 170 of these traffic parks, and these are new, but these are very important to North Korean cities. Remember
What, so they learn how to drive a car? What are they doing?
all those empty streets? Like, most people don't own cars in North Korea. They go on buses. But recently, that's kind of changing. There's even a car company that puts together, like, kit cars and sells them in North Korea. They're one of the few companies that actually advertise. And so because of that, there is more traffic in residential areas, which has led to more accidents for kids who are not used to dealing with cars. So this was...
Oh my god, because it's sparking so rapidly. It's like every other nation that's gotten vehicle usage has been like a slow, gradual spike. They're just getting hit by cars. Because one day there's no cars, and in 3 months' time, there's fucking 10 times as many vehicles on the road, and they don't know what to fucking do. Oh my god, like what a traffic stop is. Like they'll just jaywalk and get hit by a car.
of traffic to promote public safety for children. One thing that's going on. Okay, so
well, I mean, that's good.
Those are some of the design patterns and kind of common ingredients in a North Korean city. But let me show you some specific cities, because as we do that, you start to see how this country works, how its economy works. Hamhung is one of their bigger cities. You've got your standard big, giant, empty squares with statues of the leaders. But this is actually a big economic hub for chemicals. Here's an area that some experts believe is a chemical facility where they actually store this stuff underground. Remember how they love to put everything underground to protect it? These little white dots sort of represent...
How many people live in North Korea? Did he say 20 million? 26 million people. I can't grasp if that's a lot of people. You shoot a number, I'm like, yeah. Because I always just know, like, the USA is like 360 or 380 million. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of people. But you can't really visualize it.
Chemical weapons or other sensitive chemicals that they don't want the world to know about. See these big industrial facilities. They make a lot of chemicals like fertilizer, pesticides. It's home to this pretty wild-looking amusement park. I don't know what is going on with these slides. Now, I've never seen it full of people, even when I go to a weekday in the summer.
So it's just a dead water park, but they still maintain it?
I want to show you this one factory. This is a really important building in North Korea because this is where they make vinylon. Vinylon is a fabric that you can make not with wool or cotton, but with coal and limestone, which is something they have a lot of in North Korea. So as a part of the push for self-reliance, North Korea produces this synthetic material called vinylon. They use it for uniforms. Like a lot of clothing in North Korea is made with this really tough, scratchy, durable vinylon material. Use it for curtains. They kind of use it for everything. It's the North Korean like national fabric. So this is their biggest vinylon factory right here, and it's so important that the leader came to the reopening when they renovated this thing. So yeah, vinylon is made with coal. They mine a lot of coal in North Korea. If you zoom into this port in Hamhung, you'll see really gnarly looking yellow pollution. But you'll also see ships with coal aboard. You'll see all this coal getting ready to be shipped out, basically all of it going to China and potentially violating sanctions, but that's not what we're looking into right now. Let's go to another city, but this one is interesting. It's up north, right in the shadow of Mount Paektu. This is a nice looking city. It's home to this ice rink. It's got a ski hill up here. There's, of course, the required children's traffic park. And it's meant to show the world that North Korea is open for tourism, especially here in the shadow of their holy mountain. And look, this thing went up really fast. There's evidence that to make this thing go so fast, they used this youth construction brigade, which is a bunch of young people who do construction.
Child labor. Child labor. That's this youth construction program, child labor, making kids build things.
Labor for like 10 to 12 hours a day as a way to like show their loyalty to the party and potentially move up in the ranks to move out of like their social class, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit.
This district was pretty much empty before it started, and in the space of within a couple of years or even a year, all of this was built. We don't know much about the construction standards, but they do build very fast.
But yeah, when you control every human in the country, you can build this stuff really quick. Now, whether or not this is good quality stuff is another question. Like, I've seen videos of some of these houses in the mountains that like have ice on the inside of the window. So we're not sure if this is, you know, good construction, but boy, they're building stuff fast. Okay, let me show you a few more of these cities. Okay, let's go to Chongqing, port city here on the East Coast. Got some gnarly industrial stuff going on here. Home to these very...
Oh, everything just looks so gray. Gray, bland, and just ass.
cookie cutter looking homes. Here they produce textiles, rubber, steel, they build trains, they've got a big power plant. And you can see out here in the water, this is where a lot of shipping comes in and out of the country. Look at all these vessels. I mean, not a lot relative to most countries, but you know, got all this gnarly industrial stuff doing steel. You can see that they're shipping stuff out. There's coal, some of these minerals, a lot of money.
Yeah, what does North Korea export to make money? How does North Korea make money? Within their own nation, obviously, they could have some sort of revenue that goes around, but like for a growing country, you want to export outside of your country. Coal? Mix of legal and illegal activities, including exports, forced labor, cybercrime, illicit activities like drug trafficking, weapon sales, and general trade through foreign countries like China. Oh, and they do a lot of overseas construction, it says. Tourism, it says they make money from. That's just not true. They make an insignificant amount of money through tourism. They really should open up their... Dude, I know that's why they can't, because it would, like, ruin the facade of their country. But, like, if they really full-blown opened up tourism, you know how many people would go to North Korea? Would you go? If they opened it up and somebody that has talked more shit about North Korea than me went and didn't die, yeah. Like, who really talks work on North Korea? I don't know. If, like, Hassan Abi went to North Korea and didn't die, I would go.
Prisoners deep in the mountains working a life sentence of hard labor. But yeah, for now, let's just look at this. I mean, some of this stuff just looks like a wasteland, but you know, that's industry for you. But then all of that steel production is happening right next to these tightly packed homes, just endless homes.
Those are homes?
You've got your required empty boulevard, traffic park. Here's their train station. Here's the big central square. This one's really ornately designed. Let's see if anything happens if we go back in time. Oh, they just built this. This is 2020. Look at this thing go up. Looks nice. Statues of the two leaders, sports stadium. And if you look at these big blue roofs, you will see something that you wouldn't expect to see in North Korea. This is the home to a market where thousands of vendors buy and sell things all day here in the socialist, communist, anti-capitalist utopia of North Korea. So the story
and
here
they
is
could
that
set up their own singular shops.
back in the 90s, when the Soviet Union fell, North Korea was hit very hard because they were very reliant on aid from the Soviet Union. Mass famine spread throughout the whole country, and this region was very deeply hit. So it gave rise to this really resourceful black market. Homemade goods, smuggled goods, sort of bartering, trading. Between a couple 100,000 to a couple million people died during this famine.
What's this guy's YouTube? Johnny Harris. He makes really good videos.
And the black market was the only way that a lot of people lived and still live today. So in 2008, the government...
Well, they get a lot of black market stuff from China. We've watched videos about that. Like, a lot of the things that North Korean people use and obtain outside of their own country is majority-wise from China. Through that border, they have people that trade through the fences and stuff.
Like letting people buy and sell and smuggle stuff in. This is like not North Korean. So they cracked down, and the mostly women merchants in this city protested. You don't see that in North Korea. They marched to the city government office, and there was like a big confrontation, and they basically said, like, we won't be able to live if you cut us off of this.
Where North Korea has started to change has been the sort of underground economy. It has become somewhat tolerated under Kim Jong-un, these kind of illicit markets.
And today, the government continues to let this happen. This one we're looking at with the blue roof is a big example of that, but it's not the only one, not even close. These markets are now all over the country. So a lot of people get their stuff on this kind of black, gray, informal market, which has turned into a massive network of trafficking stuff in, usually from China and almost always illegally.
Individual smugglers that will bring stuff literally across the river that divides North Korea and China. Sometimes those trading companies will, in the back of the truck, in addition to the shipment they're meant to be bringing in, bring a few other things in as well. And
oh, they're paying off the military. I think that's really how they get away with it, too. I think North Korea in general, Kim Jong-un and the military let it slide because in those microtransactions, they get paid off. I think the illegal smugglers are paying off specific members of that military or giving them certain goods that they want, like special cigars or weapons or cigarettes or beer or whatever it may be.
Then that will kind of flow into the black market that way.
Back in the famine days, it was just the essentials. It was just rice and corn, just basic food. But with time, it started to become a more sophisticated private market. And today you can get all kinds of cheap Chinese products. I mean, China is like the manufacturing powerhouse of the world, and they are right there next to North Korea. There's a lot of ships and trucks coming back and forth between the two countries, which serves as the arteries for this black market. A lot of these goods end up in these markets. Here's one in Pyongyang. There's a part of me that wants to do a whole video on these markets because they are very interesting. The whole informal economy of North Korea is something I might do a video on. If you're interested in that, let me know because, man, I want to pull on that thread. But real quick, there's two things that I feel like I'm learning about North Korea because of this informal market system. Number one, North Korea's very survival is thanks to the presence of China. China, this massive manufacturer, rapidly developing country, is a lifeline for North Korea, both in the formal trade as well as the informal black market. And the second thing that this kind of confirms for me is just how much the centrally planned communist government does not work. It does not actually work to allocate goods and services to the people. This country would not be able to survive without the black market. So in addition to China, the black market is the only way that a lot of North Koreans survive. But you can see
how many goods are coming in through the black market where their country relies on it.
This can become, these informal markets, because the regime only works because it controls every aspect of people's lives. So these black markets are relinquishing some of that control. So every once in a while they crack down, they go in, they like break up the markets, they make sure to extract fees, they make sure that this doesn't get too out of control. Anyway, the markets are endlessly fascinating. One other thing you see in Chongqing is up here. This is a prison camp. Prison camps always have economic activity attached to them. And further up the valley, you've got this re-education camp deep in the valley for anyone who shows disloyalty to the regime. This one's for just over 1,000 men who don't live in these homes. That's for like the officials. They live within these walls and they spend their time mining copper and iron, cutting logs, making bricks, and farming. This is where we should
So they just have prison camps where they make money off their citizens?
talk about the prison camps, because this one that we just saw in the city, there's a lot of those. They exist in cities. Some are just typical prisons. Some are re-education camps. But there are way bigger ones, and they're up in the mountains.
What is the difference between a prison camp and a re-education camp? One is less torturous?
And they represent what I see as the most egregious version of North Korea's many human rights abuses. What's happening inside of these shapes is some of the worst stuff we can imagine. This is pretty upsetting stuff. I'm not going to go into like super detail, but let me just show you these 4 major prison camps, where they are, what they have inside of them, and who gets sent to them, and why and how, and everything we know. You get sent to a prison camp for kind of anything. If you show any rebellion or disrespect to the party or the leader. If you're a public official who...
Oh, there can't be a rebellion. They'll just kill everybody. I think the only way there would be a rebellion is if higher-up officials started it, and then everybody caved behind.
Mess something up, you get sent to one of these. Just being accused of wrong thinking can get you sent to one. And it's not just you and your family, it is also your children and your grandchildren that aren't even born yet. This system detains multiple generations of someone they've deemed a political prisoner. Now, officially, none of this exists. North Korea.
Dude, so they're like borderline eugenics-based, controlling their people to where they're only picking specific like offspring and families that are like compliant.
Korea laughably says that they do not have any such political prison system, but here they
There's
are.
actually around 700 penal facilities.
Wait, they say they don't have them and they're just on Google Maps.
Okay, now that goes from short-term detention sites, that you're there for a weekend, to those massive, 50,000 people concentration camp style sites.
And they have these names like Camp 14, Camp 11, and they're often on these huge tracts of land. Here's one up in the north. Like this is like we're deep in the mountains here. Like look at this. This is the prison camp. There are guard posts and fences. Some of these aren't completely fenced in 100%, but like if you look closely, you will see fences here cut into this forest. If you look real close, you can see a guard post. And within these camps, not just adults, you've got a lot of children. Many of them were born in the camp. They know nothing different. And what you'll see—
I don't understand how you could be born. Why are they doing that? I don't want to say it would be more moral if they were like, we're going to take your kid and reintroduce them into a different family and society. But how is somebody going to fuck up and then you basically kidnap their infant or take their infant and then just throw them into like basically slavery because of the great grandparents' mistake in being like, you have to get punished now.
See inside these prison
like they even understand what the fuck happened.
Camps is a lot of economic, productive activity being done through forced hard labor. So like up here, you've got this coal mine. That's a big one. That's one of the reasons all of this stuff's in the mountains. Then you have a lot of farmland up here as well. Livestock. There's even a distillery here, maybe making some kind of hard alcohol to be shipped to Pyongyang. You've got a factory here. You've got a school, probably for the guards' children. The children in these camps are made to work from the time they are 4 to 6 years old. And the work hours are 10 to 12 hours long for everyone.
What the fuck are you getting a 6-year-old to do that's productive economically?
Unpaid, forced prison labor. The conditions are horrific. People are on the verge of starving and often have to fight for resources. But you'll also see that even within these prison camps, it kind of feels like a North Korean city. It's like a little microcosm, a little mini version of the North Korean cities. Like, look, you've got a central square with a monument. You'll see murals of the great leaders. You'll have these indoctrination centers, a school. I want to know more about these schools. It's like a little mini city. These big ones, there's like 20,000 people who will live here. They are fenced in for the most part. Most people who come into this prison camp never leave. The people who are born here will never leave. These are life sentences.
Oh my God! You're born there, you're an infant, and you have to stay till you die. You never even, well, I mean, obviously you leave, you're living a North Korean life, but I'm going to say you never get to live a regular life. You're just stuck in hell from the day you're born.
Roots from the old Soviet days where so much control and power was wrought from just having the threat of this thing that the UN has called a human rights abuse with no parallel in modern times. Like this is a level of control and deprivation that doesn't really exist anywhere close to this degree.
20 odd million people that are basically prisoners to a system that they can't change.
This is kind of like a condensed version of that, a prison within a prison. Now, there's obviously a lot more study that's been done and visual analysis.
I just think it's crazy, like, China's becoming more and more modernized, and obviously they had their problems historically through the years, but China and North Korea are allies. I can't see why Xi Jinping, because their country's getting bottlenecked by this. Yes, they get free labor out of it, but if Kim Jong-un opened up North Korea and was able to make it a system that was more modernized and not based on concentration camps and torture, they would be able to make more money, and he and his people would be happier and more rich. I don't understand why Xi Jinping or somebody that's an ally would be like, dude, we're not going to be allies with you unless you fucking change this. Like, obviously they get some benefits from it, and then, like, because Xi Jinping leans into how they want to fucking work, they probably get benefits in return, and Kim Jong-un does whatever they want. But it's like, fuck, man. Like, the countries against him or in power with him, like, ally-wise, could just tell him to stop. and he has no power to fucking refuse. Like, yeah, he is a military. They would fucking pub stomp him.
Contrast the prison camps. Let's go to Wonsan, where I found one of Kim Jong-un's palaces. We can really show you what Kim Jong-un does with this power that he's extracted from his people. So this is Wonsan, and up here, you got your empty square with the circles, you got a port. Then up here, you've got this international children's camp where kids from all around the world come to partake in North Korean fun and sport every year. And then right here is the Kim family compound. Look at this, right on the beach. It's got this private beach with all kinds of security barriers. It's got all of these massive structures, big yard, a shooting range, and right here next to it, of course, a railroad just in case the guy has to scurry away in case of an invasion or something. So he's always got an escape plan. So while the 100,000 North Koreans are imprisoned up in the mountains, Kim Jong-un has his residence here on the beach. You know, I've known this, I've known that North Korea is crazy, but to see the prison camps and then to see this is just, it's fairly sickening to me. So when you're out here in rural North Korea, like I've been a lot lately.
And isn't that where the majority of North Koreans live? Is in the rural areas, like the farmlands, and they make like they have to give the majority of their profits back to, or not profits, like their food away, and they like starve.
You stumble upon a few weird things. Check this out. Like you'll get this, like this looks like maybe an anti-aircraft battery, like a military installation, maybe here in this red
huge farmland.
Red earth. Then you get these like really peculiar looking housing blocks that are just eerily symmetrical. They're kind of everywhere out in the rural area, and they are often built next to a farm. I've never seen villages like this anywhere in the world from the sky. They're just...
Yeah, it's just so regimented. There's no randomness. There's no freedom of building. It's like, hey, we're going to place 35 buildings here, and you're just going to tend to this farmland for the rest of your life.
So clearly deeply planned. But what I'm learning is that this is how a lot of stuff gets made in rural North Korea, a lot of the farming. Like, look at this. See all these houses? All of these houses, which look identical to each other, they are all a part of this factory. This is a factory that makes, let's find out. Boom. There we go. Fruit. This is a fruit processing factory. Out here, way out in rural North Korea. And all of these homes are the people who work in the fruit factory. Something Jacob pointed out.
And every day, bro, they never get to leave. That's the biggest thing about North Korea. I don't think he mentioned this. You need, like, permission to move within the country. Like, as a North Korean citizen, say you're off on Sunday by some means. Say you're off one day of the week. You can't just go somewhere. Like, you need written permission by the government to leave because you're going to hit so many military checkpoints. So these people are literally waking up, going to work, going home. Waking up, going to work, going home. Not even on a drive, not even on a measurely stroll. They're waking up in a house that is identical to every other house that is next to them, probably with a bunch of other people, probably in shit conditions, no electricity. And then they're fucking going to work and going home. That's all they do every day. And they work for fucking 14 hours a day.
Duplexes, meaning two families live here, and you can see this is their backyard, and they have kind of a separator. So they have this little plot of backyard. This is their community. You are assigned a job here, and you work here. I don't see a car.
Yeah, like they don't, obviously, you don't get to pick whatever job you want in the world. But like you have a culmination of potential careers that you could try and choose and apply to. Like in North Korea, they just go, you're going to be a farmer. You're going to be a singer. You're going to be in the military. And you just, that's you. That's what you're doing for the rest of your life.
Are anywhere on these roads.
You mentioned cars. Of course, private ownership of vehicles isn't really a thing in North Korea, so there's no need for parking spaces.
You are living here and working here for your whole life. I see some people biking, some people walking, but the other thing you see are these vast complexes of greenhouses. Kim Jong-un has been going nuts on greenhouses, building as many as he can. This was an airport for some reason, But over time, this airport got turned into a massive greenhouse complex. Kim Jong-un has been doing this. And in fact, just a short time, this is 2022. And this is today. Like, man, they build stuff fast, it seems. So one way that North Korea works is by just assigning people jobs and having them live and work in the exact same place. But man, I get really mesmerized out here in rural North Korea looking at the configuration of the housing. Okay, but we have to talk about the capital. I know everyone's wondering, like, the capital, it's the most interesting. I've been holding off because I feel like the capital gets so much coverage, and I'm interested in, like, these rural, like, backwaters. But let's talk about the capital. In order to understand Pyongyang and, like, what it is, you have to understand this concept of songbun. Basically the caste system for North Korea. It's how they subdivide.
That's the caste system has basically existed in multiple countries for, thousands of years, but the majority of countries are diminishing those. I never knew there was actually a written out caste system though.
The people, and like once you're in one class, you're in one class, and like your kids are in that class too, and you can maybe move up or maybe move down. If your grandpa was like supportive of the Japanese or wasn't super loyal during the revolution, then you are a part of the hostile class. Like, you are not to be trusted, you are not loyal, you will have the worst jobs, the worst opportunities, you will get the worst punishments. The wavering class are kind of the middle ground, and they are more trusted. They're still on thin ice like everyone, but they have more opportunities. They get better healthcare, they get better schools, better food. But the core class, those are the top dogs. They're party officials, they're the elites. And those are the people who live in Pyongyang.
So all people in Pyongyang are in the core class. But I heard that if you live in Pyongyang, it's only temporary residence. It's kind of like a visa. You have to, like, renew that. You're not fully there. But all of these people are, like, these social elites. And that's the problem, is these are the people that would need to turn on Kim Jong-un, but they're at the highest part of the social class, so why would they? It's like being part of a pyramid scheme.
They live in a completely different world than the rest of the country. The capital, which is a pretty wild-looking place. Here on Google Earth, they've put these little 3D renderings of, like, the big, super wild hotel at the center of town that actually looks really awesome and cool and wild, but it's totally empty. At least that's what the reports say. It's just a big piece of propaganda. Part of it is that with these buildings, because electricity is so flaky in North Korea, you actually don't want, like, a high-rise, like, penthouse, because if you're, like, at the 30th floor and the power goes out, you're walking 30.
Bro eating chips with chopsticks? Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. I heard him chewing and he just fucking pans him. He's eating potato chips with chopsticks.
You actually don't want, like, a high-rise, like, penthouse, because if you're, like, at the 30th floor and the power goes out, you're walking 30 floors of steps. So the most desirable apartments
is the first floor.
According to Martin, the expert interviewed, are the ones on the bottom floors. Okay, so Pyongyang has big old stadium, monuments, big grand boulevards, lots of buses. So much transportation happens on buses in North Korea. And as you're rolling around here, you see a lot of, like, pretty peculiar architecture.
A throwback to Soviet era, when cities were laid out on a template and you had, brutalist architecture and everything, and just rows of apartments and no real, like, suburban landscape.
All these theme parks are empty parking lots all the time. It is like, just a snapshot in time. So we don't actually know, but I've never seen anyone in these. Although, check out this promo video from this water park.
I love the water slide. I want to slide 10 times. Where do they post these? Is this like, I understand it's propaganda, but is this like for foreigners to see and they just like post this on their social media and shit? Or is this like they send it into North Korean? It's not AI.
Start to see that, like, a lot of this stuff is built to show the outside world that North Korea can do this, and to show, fellow North Koreans that North Korea can do this. That is a massive part of construction in this country. It's not about serving the broader people as much as it is about telling a story. So many sports, like sports are a big part of North Korean culture. Kim Jong-un's got his little signature buildings here. Every leader has a different style, and Kim Jong-un is just doing it with these curvy apartment buildings. One thing you see here is churches. There's a bunch of random churches in Pyongyang. One of them is this Eastern Orthodox church, which North Korea built.
There is no way there's no way they have an Eastern Orthodox church in fucking North Korea. That shit is barren and empty. It's hollow on the inside. There's no one fucking going in that.
For their good friend Russia. Here's Vladimir Putin.
Oh, okay. So it exists when they have, like, foreign officials.
In this Eastern Orthodox church. Oh, but here's a Protestant one. Founder of the country, Kim Il-sung.
A Protestant church.
A mother who was a Protestant. And apparently she was a deacon here in this church.
No way.
For this church, and it's sort of like a symbol that, like, look, North Korea believes in freedom of religion. But they, to be clear, do not. Religion is not widely practiced in North Korea for obvious reasons. Now, what I love about Pyongyang is it takes the whole, like, big boulevard, grand streets that are empty to a whole new level. I mean, look at this. Here's where the great leader used to live. This was their palace. And coming off it is this big, grand square, empty. And coming off that, there's this grand boulevard that is just so grand and so empty. It goes down through this big, beautiful roundabout, keeps going through a tunnel to another big, beautiful, mostly empty roundabout. There's a car. And now it enters into this massive grand, like, this is, you would expect a urban design like this in, like, Mexico City or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, fucking Mexico City or in, like, Tucson, Arizona. Somewhere, like, very, like, populated, but in an area that's barren.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lanes going into this grand intersection for the 4 cars that are here. I mean, it's mesmerizing to look at, right? So anyway, that is the grand boulevard that leads up to this palace that the leaders used to live in.
6-7. Fuck. Yo, can we ban that term somehow?
The leaders don't live here anymore now. Kim Jong-un lives instead up here. Let's see if I can find his house from memory now that I've been staring at it nonstop. Boom, there it is. Found it. Okay, here he is. He lives up in this big compound up on the hill. This big boy. This is his main residence in the city. I'm looking at my data set from Jacob, and you see potential underground entrances to these heavily secured compounds and bunkers. For how much we know these folks like to dig.
I think that's really what would happen. If, like, say somehow North Korea either got bombed or taken over, even whether through foreign or, like, civil matters, I think Kim Jong-un would just retreat underground and live somewhere that he already has set up for the rest of his life. Like, he has some secret area that he could just live under. Or some shit that probably is an underground tunnel that shoots him out somewhere where he could take a boat or a fucking submarine or a plane to another country and just live there.
Kim Jong-un's house.
He would flee.
So yeah, Pyongyang is a place that could look fairly developed and nice. And indeed, the imagery from Pyongyang does look fairly nice in some views. Because this is where the elite live, the core class. This is where the output from all of the horrific...
Yeah, there has to be, like, rich people. Like, there has to be, like, not billionaires, but, like, people that don't work in North Korea.
Abuse and slavery that's happening out in the countryside comes to benefit. And this is the center of power for the regime. Oh, and something you can't see here, but that you see in a lot of, like, tourist videos is the very deep underground train system. They've got a subway that is very nice looking, and boy, I wish I could go there and visit and see it someday, but I probably will never do that for obvious reasons. Okay, I want to finish this video talking about the thing we can't really see on this map, which is the people.
They are regular people like you and I, and they have dreams and ambitions. They just want to have some food and enjoy themselves and go out with friends and just kind of have a happy life.
Despite all the horrors of this place, there are wholesome, meaningful traditions and rituals that still endure. The Lunar New Year, or the Harvest Festival, brings people together to celebrate. The extreme poverty limits their feasts, but they often consist of homemade alcohol, simple rice cakes, and something poverty and totalitarianism can't totally take away, which is community. The nourishment of
relationships. As we've seen, most people can't really move around in the country, so they stay in one place, which defectors have reported leads to a sense of intimacy and connection with the community they live next to. They lean on each other, they survive because of each other, they celebrate together, and they seem to find meaning despite all the limitations and all of the control. One defector went so far as to say, "Everything was suffocating and pitiful in North Korea, but it is a country that I have many positive memories from. So if someone asks me, what is North Korea like? I say, North Korea is a nice place with plenty of love."
And that's, I think, one of the things that's often forgotten when we look at North Korea.
Yeah, we're always talking about how shitty it is, but the people there are still fucking good. Like, the majority of the people that live in North Korea would be categorically good people.
Korea in the traditional media, because people having a happy life is not newsworthy, but a military parade or a nuclear test or a missile launch or something is newsworthy.
So, just leaving you with a reminder that there's more to this country than the horrible realities that we've seen here or that we often see on the news. If you want a deeper look on this angle of the country, there's a book called Nothing to Envy, which is a great human-level account of life in North Korea. So, thank you all for being curious with...
Wow, I really actually want to read that. I'm not even fucking lying. I know I only really read, like, fucking philosophy every other week, potentially, but to be able to read a book from a North Korean defector, wow. Like, just talking about what every day was like. That was such a good fucking video. I'm so happy we watched that. All right, we're not going to